Good morning, 5 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Nashville's new transit plan has survived a legal challenge. The group called Committee to Stop an Unfair Tax sued, claiming it's against state law and misled voters as to the actual cost. But a Chancery Court judge disagreed, saying it is legal and it can proceed. So for now, the half-cent sales tax increase will begin February 1st. The plan, advertised as a $3.1 billion Choose How You Move plan, uses that half-cent sales tax increase and grants to make improvements to the city's bus system, its sidewalks and traffic signals over several years. Well, in one East Side neighborhood, people living along Fernwood Drive are telling Channel 4 that people are driving recklessly through their 25-mile-an-hour neighborhood.
We were sitting and enjoying our coffee and heard a very loud screeching and a big bang. We ran outside to make sure that they were okay, and they stopped for a few seconds and then peeled off.
Well, she lost a mailbox and part of her fence in that crash. She says she and her neighbors have all petitioned Nashville DOT to help out, but their efforts to apply through the so-called traffic calming program have so far fallen on deaf ears. Well, it is T-minus 6 days and counting until President-elect Trump's inauguration. And you know what we'll be hearing a lot of from those inaugural events?
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at
Yeah, the Village People have been invited to perform at a handful of events that week. Of course, President Trump loves dancing to the song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So don't go thinking, though, that this changed the politics of the Village People. They put out a statement that said that they're hoping the anthem helps bring the country together after a tumultuous and divided campaign where our preferred candidate lost.
You know, I think what we need to do, I think what we all need to do on Election Day is we all need to dress as our favorite Village People.
Oh, I love that idea.
So I want to be the cop.
Okay.
KGB, you can either go as Vladimir Putin or... I'm just kidding.
You got to be the construction guy.
I'll just dress Russian. I'll just get the hat, the classic hat, a big furry coat.
Yeah, but if you do that, you have to do that dance with the kicks.
I can do that.
You can?
Yes.
All right. Well, we will video that and post it
I could
to
try
our
to do the
socials.
kicks, but I'd throw my back out. I'm 57.
So old.
Yes.
All right,
Well,
let's
moving on.
finish up here with a look at Wall Street trading for the start of the week. Here's Michelle Franzen.
Mixed in Monday trading as Wall Street recovered some last week's slide. The Dow gained 359 points by the end of the day. The S&P fell 9 points, and the Nasdaq lost 74 points. Shares of pharmaceutical giant Moderna fell Monday after the vaccine maker predicted a steep sales drop in the new year. Analysts had expected Moderna to come close to last year's $3 billion in revenue. Starbucks is reversing its policy of allowing the general public to linger or use the bathroom at its cafes, whether they make a purchase or not. The change is aimed at reversing a drop in customer traffic and sales. Chip makers are pushing back on proposed federal rules on exporting advanced computer chips used to develop artificial intelligence. The administration cites national security concerns, but companies say the rules would limit access to chips needed for video games and data applications. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Looks like a better start on Wall Street today. The futures are all pointing up. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Oh, a nice quiet start to our morning. There's really no delays to speak of on 24, 65, or 40 this morning. Careful as you head out. They're saying that it got cold enough for any water that was on the roadways to have refrozen overnight. So just be careful as you're headed out, especially on the back roads. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, the 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Donald Trump and Jack Smith, both up very late last night, this morning. So Jack Smith, deranged Jack Smith, has released his report. Remember, we had a big conversation about this yesterday. And the big question was, should Jack Smith and the DOJ release this report on Donald Trump? And for me, I don't really care. But he has now released it, and now there's been a war of words between Donald Trump and deranged Jack Smith. This is the headline from the Daily Mail. Jack Smith insists Donald Trump would have been convicted of election interference in this bombshell report. The American people don't care. CNN is leading with this story, as a matter of fact. Special counsel stands by Trump charges in final report. Donald Trump raged against lame-brained special counsel Jack Smith during a 1 a.m. Truth Social rant after the Department of Justice dropped the prosecutor's bombshell report in the dead of night. Why would they do that? Like, why would they drop this report at 1 o'clock in the morning? Are they trying to bury it? Or are they trying to make sure that it's in the news this morning, which it is? Smith standing by his decision to bring charges against Donald Trump, the much-anticipated report, it's really not, and insisted he would have been convicted of conspiracy to defraud the United States had he not won the election for president. Can I just say this? That is complete and utter BS for any Democrat, and I'm going to get into this in a little more detail here in a little bit. But for any Democrat to talk about Donald Trump trying to defraud the United States, this conspiracy to defraud the United States, oh my God. Would you like to talk about Democrats, what the hell has been going on for the last 4 years with Joe Biden? You want to talk about defrauding the United States? The Democrats as a party and the media have been defrauding the United States for like 4 years. And now they're going after Donald Trump for defrauding the United States. Oh, please tell me more. Isn't that rich? The DOJ and the media and Jack Smith and the Democrats are complaining that Donald Trump defrauded the United States, as opposed to what they've been doing for 4 years, telling us that Joe Biden is competent, mentally competent enough to run the United States of America, the most powerful man on earth. Can't even find his way off of a stage. But it's Donald Trump that was supposedly conspiring to defraud the United States. Got it. What a joke. In a scathing statement issued along with the report, deranged Jack Smith admonished Donald Trump for what he described as excessive lies and deceit to upend the American enterprise. I mean, this whole story, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've not read this story thoroughly. But, I mean, just on the surface, you want to talk about deceit and you want to talk about lies. The Democrats in the media, 4 years, they've been deceitful and lying to the American people about a number of different things. I don't even need to go through all of these with you. He says the through line of all of Mr. Trump's criminal efforts was deceit, knowingly false claims of election fraud, and the evidence shows that Mr. Trump used these lies as a weapon to defeat a federal government function foundational to the United States and the democratic process, the report states. Trump quickly slamming the report in a Truth Social post at about 1:41 a.m. This is the amazing thing. Like, the report drops at 1 o'clock. So is he up? Is Trump up?
The man never sleeps.
And then he just decides to start thumbing a response? Or did somebody go and wake him up and said, hey, you've got to see this? And then Trump, of course, starts thumbing away. I don't know. I think it's interesting, though. And you're right, Joan. He never sleeps. As opposed to Joe Biden, who never wakes.
Right. Yes.
Thank you. Trump says deranged Jack Smith was unable to successfully prosecute the political opponent of his boss, crooked Joe Biden. So he ends up writing yet another report based on information that the Unselect Committee of Political Hacks and Thugs illegally destroyed and deleted because it showed how totally innocent I was, he says, and how completely guilty Nancy Pelosi and others were, the Post read. The president-elect then followed it up with 2 more missives to his social media platform. To show you how desperate deranged Jack Smith is, he released his fake findings at 1 a.m. in the morning. Did he say that the Unselect Committee illegally destroyed and deleted all of the evidence? He followed it up with, Make America Great Again. I don't think anybody cares. Anybody care about this report? You super texters, anybody care about this report? Because, we spoke about this yesterday about how a lot of this is stuff that we've already known. And here's the other thing. The American people have spoken. And I think that's part of what Donald Trump, Trump says the voters have spoken after Smith's report. He's absolutely right. I mean, I firmly believe that it was, as I said yesterday, so I don't want to go on and on about this, but it's almost like all of this lawfare, this is part of what I believe the Democrats and the media have done to destroy their party and for the media, destroyed their credibility. This kind of crap. So congratulations, Jack Smith, and congratulations, New York Times. Congratulations, Washington Post and MSNBC and all of the networks. This is the kind of thing that helped Donald Trump launch into the White House for a second term. This is the kind of thing. And they keep doing it, and that's fine. You want to be able to release your little report and, be able to say, oh, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. He's the first president of the United States to actually be a convicted felon. You go right on ahead. The American people don't give a crap.
You know what this is like? This is like if a team loses a football game and they blame the refs did this. This shouldn't have, it's over. Get over it.
They need to get over it. But see, I think, and wait till you hear what they're, I have a whole thing on Pete Hegseth, because, today is confirmation day for Pete Hegseth, right? So Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, they're sort of, rubbing their hands together. They can't wait to get to Pete Hegseth. And apparently you've got Chuck Schumer out there saying, oh, yeah, and the Democrats that are on the Armed Services Committee, they're saying, oh, there's going to be some surprises for Pete Hegseth because they claim that they didn't get the report, his background check, with sufficient time for them to go over it. And apparently they're saying that the report, the background check on Pete Hegseth, is incomplete. Wait till you hear why they say it is incomplete. It is coming up next. 5:15, time to check the roads on WTN.
One problem on the board this morning is 24 eastbound lanes at Shelby Avenue, exit 49. That's a crash, and it's blocking off the left lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Very good. Weather today, high of 45, and right now 29 degrees and sunny. By the way, everybody seems to be mad at bucolic Watertown. We'll talk about that straight ahead at 5:35 on Nashville's Morning News. Jumping back real quick to the deranged Jack Smith post, as he posted his report, is the incoming president called Smith a lame brain prosecutor. who was unable to get his case tried before the election, which Trump says, I won in a landslide. The voters have spoken. And he put that in capital letters. They have spoken. Smith wrote the report, which was transmitted to Congress early Tuesday morning after a judge refused to block its release. It describes prosecutors' charging decisions in the case that resulted in Trump being indicted for taking a trove of national security documents to Mar-a-Lago. By the way, Joe Biden did the same thing.
And he wasn't president at the time.
Nope. You know, here's the thing. When you look at all of this lawfare, I could do I could do 2 segments on this, but I just feel like it's been done to death. So I don't know. I don't have the super text line open. KGB, tell me if people want me to start screaming about this at 5 o'clock in the morning, even more than I already have, because I don't think there's anything to say on it. Literally, people don't care.
I have the best one. 6205 says, nope, just check. Don't care.
There you go. What is it? Chris Hand always says, fact check true.
Yes. Other people are just like, move on. Trump won. Just move.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I love being right. It happens so seldom. I bet people want to know what Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have in store for Pete Hegseth. They say do you know why the Democrats are saying, Joan, you'll find this interesting. I find it particularly interesting because, well, you'll figure it out. Democrats are upset because the FBI report, you know who they didn't talk to for the background check?
The woman who he allegedly had an affair with.
Yeah, the woman who accused him of rape after they spent the night together, and she expressed regret to her husband, and so then accused Hegseth of rape.
Right.
They didn't speak to her, and apparently they didn't speak to Pete Hegseth's ex-wives. Now, they do say, in fairness, that you're supposed to speak to the ex-spouses of people up for Senate confirmation. You know, my question is, whether it's Republican or Democrat, what good is that? Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, what is an ex-spouse going to say about their ex? I mean, you haul any person's ex-spouse up there, and odds are they're going to absolutely skewer their ex, because that's what exes do. Now, we all know that, you know, Hegseth is a serial cheater. He's literally admitted that he has not been a good husband in the past. He knows that. He says that he's not that man anymore, whatever. But for the Democrats, it's almost the same thing, where the Democrats are saying, there's a great quote out there. I have so much today. Which is why I'm not focusing on the Jack Smith thing. Richard Blumenthal. I just want to emphasize there's already ample and abundant information on the public record that shows Pete Hegseth lacks the character and confidence to be Secretary of Defense. There has never been a nominee for this position as unqualified as he is by virtue of financial mismanagement, as well as sexual impropriety and alcohol. You know, after the last 4 years of what these Jack A Democrats have put us through, I mean, it's the same thing applies with, Jack Smith talking about how Donald Trump was trying to mislead the American people. And how dare the Democrats talk about that when the reality is that they've been lying for the last 4 years. And I could use the same example here, where they're talking about how Donald Trump's pick for his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, is unqualified by virtue of financial mismanagement. Really? Do you want to talk about financial mismanagement? Let's talk about what's happened the last 4 years. Because we could go on about that. We certainly could. So there's a lot of hypocrisy that we're going to be hearing about and seeing over the next several days with Pete Hegseth and his Senate confirmation hearings. But I've got a deep dive into that coming up probably in the 6 o'clock hour. Right now it is 5:21 on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones has the news at 5:30. Joan, what's coming up?
Well, today is the day the cabinet nominees begin being grilled on Capitol Hill. We've got a little preview. And also, we'll take a look at the early who's who of the inauguration. Those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis from Nashville's Morning News. The Wall Street Journal reported a while ago that people are feeling stress, anxiety, and depression because of this election. If that's you, talk to my guy, Dr. Christopher Van Shank. He is a psychiatrist out in Nolensville. Now, he can help you with not only depression, if you're feeling it because of politics or whatever, but he can also help you with alcoholism, drug abuse as well. Go to his website, nolensvillepsychiatry.com. He's got a long list of conditions that he can help you with, either in person or at telehealth. Bottom line is, he wants to make it as easy as possible for you to get the help that you need. He can help your kids as well. Check him out online. Again, nolensvillepsychiatry.com. The number's below. Thanks for listening, and good luck. 525, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in. It is your Tuesday, January 14th. 6 days away? Is that what it is? 6 days away, right?
6 days.
I cannot wait. You know, there are some people that have been counting down, and I understand that. They're counting down since the election to, January 20th. And I got to tell you that I cannot wait. By the way, just real quickly, with the California wildfires, they are looking at really, I don't know if you reported this, Joan, or not, but they're reporting really, really strong winds on Wednesday. So,
right.
And overnight there was another fire that sprung up in Southern California. So, and by the way, guess what? It was near a homeless shelter. You know what's so amazing about this story is that you've got two of the biggest issues that California has: illegal immigration and the homeless. And they have encouraged illegal immigration, obviously, and they arrested a guy who was an illegal alien for starting the Kenneth fire. So that's number one. And, the dude running around with a blowtorch. And they're talking about how the homeless people are just carelessly starting fires. You know how much money? They spend like billions and billions of dollars. This was a couple of years ago. Gavin Newsom tried to fix the homeless problem, and they spent billions of dollars trying to fix the homeless problem, and they couldn't. Like, not one person has become not homeless after they invested billions of dollars trying to fix the problem. So their lack of ability to fix this issue is coming back and biting them in the butt. By the way, Gavin Newsom is beginning to panic, and he's trying to grasp at straws, but he forgot that he actually banned straws. So there's...
do you have that canned laughter over there, KGB? Because we need it right away.
I know.
Timing is everything, KGB.
Hold on, I got. Hold on. Wait.
You have to warn him when you're making a joke.
Yeah, like I was not prepared for that dad of a joke. Like I'm trying to do something cool in the stream, and if you're down with this, I will do it. Putting down the countdown till Trump's inauguration.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So I was trying to do that, and then I heard your dad joke, and I just went, no.
Wasn't a dad joke?
Joan, was that a dad joke?
It was totally a dad joke.
Thank you.
Really?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
But I told this so flawlessly.
But that's why, you know what? You deserve...
Whatever, moving on.
This is delayed, but you deserve this.
That's actually a meme that is out there, and it's actually very funny. So there you go. I bet you super texters liked it. Hey, super texters, did you like my joke? Anyway, so bottom line is that the fires in Southern California, they do continue. There's a lot of news that I want to cover. We are going to, during the 5:35 segment, one of the things that I find interesting is the fact that Gavin Newsom, we're just going to touch on this real quickly, but Gavin Newsom is still trying to defend his policies and still trying to play offense on this whole spat with Donald Trump. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News. Super text line is open at 615-737-9986. By the way, folks, don't forget you can watch us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch at 99.7 WTN.com. Got a lot more straight ahead. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 5:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The first of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees is being grilled on Capitol Hill today.
Today, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth faces his confirmation hearing. Some senators claim they were denied access to his FBI background check. Hegseth is expected to be grilled about allegations of sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse, all of which he denies.
And sources say that Hegseth's FBI background check does not include an interview with the woman who accused him of sexual assault. No charges were filed in that case. It's unclear why there was no interview.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. California residents are being told to keep their emergency alerts turned on at all times, just as the winds pick up there again in Los Angeles, fanning fears of another inferno. though.
ABC News has learned at least 4 homeowners and renters have filed lawsuits against Southern California Edison, claiming the company failed to de-energize equipment despite high wind warnings. The head of SoCal Edison's parent company says they've seen no indication their equipment started the fire, but they're aware of the videos and are investigating. A new estimate predicts $30 billion in insured losses.
ABC's Zoreen Shah there reporting. As of last night, the Eaton fire was 33% contained. The Palisades fire, 14% contained. Metro Nashville police have identified the man who was found beaten to death by the Cumberland River early this year. Investigators believe that 42-year-old Stephen Himes was homeless and living near the river. His death was the first homicide of Nashville this year. And Nashville DOT is warning about the likelihood of potholes popping up after Friday's snowfall. So if you do see potholes that need filling, you can call 311 or use the Hub Nashville app. If you do see crews out fixing holes, NDOT says give them a break and a little extra room, too, to get their work done. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got an accident, 24 eastbound lanes at Shelby Avenue, and the left lane is blocked there as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Along with Jeff Malinoff, KGB running the board today. We have Joan Jones in the WTN newsroom. I'm Dan. So everybody's mad at bucolic Watertown in Wilson County because everybody's roads, Joan, are clear. Except in bucolic Watertown, they've got some slick spots. And so the entire school district of Wilson County is having to stay home today. So there's another snow day or ice day for the kids of Wilson County.
Those kids are celebrating.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like I walked downstairs and I said to Amy, she sent me a text. So I walked downstairs and I said, "Are you kidding me, really?" You know what she said? Watertown. And I guess people are just used to it. It's always Watertown.
Do they not have, salt?
This is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
You've got, if you're so bucolic, do we know anybody in Watertown with some pull? Don't we know, the president of the Watertown Chamber of Commerce?
Is this the hill you want to die on right here?
His Mount Wilson, has he started his tenure yet, or does that start at some other time? I don't even know. But maybe we need to get Mount Wilson on the phone and say, dude, get a blowtorch and go clear the damn streets.
We know where we can find some.
Where? Oh, California.
Yeah.
Get him from all the illegal aliens in California running around with blowtorches. By the way, somebody wanted to know, because part of what I said earlier was part of the situation with these fires is that you've got two of the biggest banes of the existence of conservatives in California, right? You've got illegal immigration and you've got the homeless people. So the illegal aliens, of course, one of them is accused of starting a fire. And then you've got the homeless people accused of starting at least one other fire. And I was talking about how obviously those two massive failures of leadership. And I mentioned about how Gavin Newsom, he had he has been trying to handle the homeless problem. Do you know how much they've spent on the homeless? Somebody wanted me to go into a little bit more detail. So real quick. They've spent over the past 5 years, California has spent approximately $24 billion.
It's insane.
On various programs aimed at reducing homelessness. Despite this substantial investment, the state's homeless population has increased.
Who can afford to live there anyway?
So then they did an audit, and they can't figure out
where the money went. Please
where
don't say that.
Money went.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. A state audit highlighted that the California Interagency Council on Homelessness has not effectively tracked spending or even outcomes since 2021.
Oh, my.
The lack of accountability and transparency has made it difficult to assess whether these programs are cost efficient or if they're achieving their intended goals. Well, obviously not, because homelessness in California has only increased. And you know what? It's hard to feel sorry for California, man. I mean, here's the deal. I feel sorry for the people in California who are losing their homes. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. I truly wouldn't. My dad, I've told this story before. My dad lost his home right around Christmas. He had a massive fire right after his divorce. And so, I mean, I laugh now just because I can only imagine. But it was Christmas time, and there was a massive fire. Oh, wait, yeah, it was in California. And he lost his apartment, and the entire apartment complex went up in flames. And it was Christmas. It was like right around Christmas. So all of our Christmas presents were destroyed. And so that Christmas has always stuck out for me. And that's why what he was able to do, he was able to scrape together, because he lost everything in the divorce. And then he lost the rest of it in that fire. I mean, literally, he had no clothes. He had very little money. And the only thing he could scrape together for Christmas was a used air hockey machine for my brother and I, an air hockey game, you know?
Yeah.
And so I've always carried that with me. And that's why when I play air hockey, I always think about my dad. Anyway, so I feel bad for people in California. They're stupid voters, a lot of them. They chose to keep Gavin Newsom in office despite the fact that he is absolutely, and the state is absolutely a train wreck. But people don't deserve what's happening. And part of what I find interesting is you have a lot of these now. It's almost like a soap opera where you have all of these actors and they are posting on social media about how they're losing their homes, and, you know, they're posting about their experiences. And you know what? When Adam Carolla said, you get what you deserve, you reap what you sow, whatever it is that he said, he got a lot of heck fire for it. He got a lot of crap for that. But I understand what he means. I understand when you vote for Democrat values, then you get progressive values. And that means that you're going to get incompetence. You're going to get spending that you certainly, you know, it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. You've got, what did I say? Billions of dollars spent. What did I say? $24 billion spent on homelessness. And you get an increase in homelessness and nobody knows where the money went. You get all the illegal immigration. So when you vote for these things, and as a state, California did, not only in the governor's race, but in local elections as well, by and large, well, then that's what's going to happen. I don't wish them ill, and I certainly don't wish their homes going up in flames, but this is what happens.
We have a friend who always uses this phrase, and it seems to apply in a lot of situations. You can't fix stupid.
That's exactly right. You can't fix stupid.
Voters continue voting for these people and these outcomes. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to feel sorry for them. It just is. I mean, this is what happens when there's incompetence.
How did you not? Well, the thing I would say is, okay, so how did you not see this coming?
Yeah.
I would say to the voters of California. And by the way, there's a lot of good conservatives in California.
Yeah.
But
But, you know, when you vote for people, like, our jobs as citizens is to not have to pay attention to those things. You vote for people who do have to pay attention to those things. They have to pay attention to the reservoirs. They have to pay attention to clearing the forest. That's their job. And if they forego that job and it causes a disaster like this, they have to pay in some way for it. I don't see a way around that. I don't see a way around it.
Listen, when a state by and large votes the way that they do, and then you see the mistakes that Gavin Newsom has made and Karen Bass has made. And by the way, you've got a bunch of people now demanding that Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, resign.
Resign, absolutely.
You know what I think Brian Wilson needs to do? As the president of the Watertown Chamber of Commerce, I think he needs to make salt great again.
Oh.
In Watertown.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
like to say that I made that up myself, but my friend Aaron texted me that joke.
You didn't have to. I mean, you could have stolen it.
I've got to give credit where credit is due.
Okay.
Joan, have you ever had a near-death experience? Because I just had one.
No.
No?
No.
You really haven't?
Not that I know of.
I would think that you would know it.
Yeah. I mean, no. What was your near-death experience?
A couple of days ago,
Yeah.
I'm in the bathroom, and I'm just going to tell you, I was in my bathrobe. I was wet.
Did you slip?
No. For some idiotic reason, I thought it would be a good idea to plug something in.
Oh, my. Dan.
I know.
What?
I know.
What are you talking about?
Joan, I felt a massive, and I mean a massive shock
Oh,
that
my
I can still
goodness.
feel right now. You ever like experience something and you can feel it? You can still feel it. It's like you've got phantom feelings kind of a thing.
Yes. Yes.
This shock went through my body. I have never in my life felt something like that. And
You are lucky, bud.
I am very lucky. And it was such a stupid thing to do. It's like
It was mindless, right? You were just going on doing the things you would normally do. You didn't
absolutely
think about it.
mindless.
Yeah.
Absolutely mindless.
That's what we always say about you.
So when you asked me off the air about
You know what, Joan?
near-death experience,
I'm going to be dead sometime, and you're going to go back and think about all the mean, rotten things you said to me, and you're going to be like, I should have been nicer to Dan.
That was a lot of fun. That was a fun one to set you up for.
It's like, you know what?
Thanks for taking the bait.
You know what? Dan's dead so tragically. Who are we going to make fun of now? Oh, we're so sad that Dan's dead.
Okay, for the record, when you asked me off air about your near-death experiences, I thought it was like something like, a car. Like mine was, I almost got hit by a drunk driver one time. He would have T-boned. I went through a green light at like middle of the night.
Right.
He was going at least 80. Narrowly missed me. I think he nicked me a little bit, but there was no scratches or anything.
Right.
And if I was a foot ahead, he would have T-boned me. He would have hit my driver's side. I would have been dead. That's a near-death experience. Yours was just, how do I say this nicely? Joan, what's a nice...
Self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted.
Okay. I was going to say incompetence, but that works too. See, that's why I asked Joan first. Because I felt like mine was a little mean.
I am still freaked out about it.
I bet you are.
I'm sure.
Do you know how freaked out I am about this? Is that I haven't even told Amy what happened.
Well, she knows
She
now.
knows
I'm
now.
sure she's listening.
She's not because Riker doesn't have school, so she's still sleeping.
Oh,
Don't tell her.
Well, she's going to text you in about 2 hours.
I know when she goes back.
Someone's going to text her like, Dan almost died yesterday. Like something like, not even like, just, Dan almost died yesterday. And she goes, what? And then she'll find out.
So what'd you do after you nearly killed yourself? Did you fall on the floor? Were you just standing there, mouth open? Like, what happened?
I used my left hand plugged in the. So you know what I was plugging in?
A razor, a shaver.
No.
Okay.
Alexa.
Oh my God.
You're kidding me.
So Alexa almost killed you.
I was almost killed by Alexa. Yet another woman that almost killed me. So I'm plugging it in, and the shock. So then I can't really describe it because it's just hard to put into words. But I plugged it in, and then I felt that immediate shock. And then luckily I was able to pull my hand away. And I was like, oh my gee. I just, all the things. I was shocked. And I was shocked at being shocked.
The text line is so good. I just had to read a couple.
I want to do one first before you go on.
Go for it.
Okay. So, Dan, now we can ask you what's up.
No, that's the one I was going to say.
Okay. That was from a listener. I can't.
8064 says, Amy's going to find that electrifying.
And we all know you weren't plugging in the hairdryer.
These are good. You guys are awesome.
So, oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that one of the things as I went on, I kid you not, one of the things that I thought about was if I ended up dying, my last show sucked.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Really?
That was your thought.
No, it's...
Well, I mean, it took a while for me to get down that road. I thought about, okay, so honestly, I thought about if I died, because, my mom just died. So I thought about when my mom died, I thought about my last conversation that I had with my mother, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So I started thinking about what would have my last
What's your legacy going to be?
Had been, what was my last conversation with my wife and Riker, my daughter? My last show was a train wreck, which it really wasn't, but that's how I always think.
Yes.
And I just started thinking about that. And then it's like, oh, Lord, is my will up to date? Just all those things just come flooding into my head.
This is why you always kiss and forgive before you go to sleep.
The smoke wasn't done coming out of my ears, and I'm thinking about all of the things that were left undone.
If, God forbid, you actually did die and you went to heaven, your mom would just be laughing at you at the pearly gates. Just laughing. Just that's
Honey,
how you went.
I told you not to plug things in when you're wet. She did. She told me. My mom and my dad, they always told me these stupid little things, right? My mom told me for years, she told me, never eat big globs of peanut butter.
Because it could get stuck in your throat.
Because it can get stuck in your throat.
Yeah, that's such a mom thing.
My dad, I kid you not, my dad would tell me, don't plug things in when you're wet. My dad used to tell me that all the time. Now, I'm 57, so the mind is the first thing to go, clearly. Of course, with me, it's the second thing. My hair is the first. Actually, it's the third thing.
Don't want to know about the rest.
My hair is gone. My eyesight is failing immensely. I can barely see. And now
we're going to have to Jimmy Carter you into the studio soon.
You are, man. You have to pull me
His
into
mouth open
pull
like
me
this.
in a wheelchair, the whole thing. Jeff, it's too soon for that.
Yeah. Well, another 40 years, when you reach 100, we'll just have to push you into the voting booth and get you a vote for whoever's the Republican candidate.
That's exactly right. Anyway, so there you go. So yeah.
It'll
So
be
that was my
weekend at
near-death
Bernie's.
experience. What'd you say, Joan?
It'll be weekend at Bernie's here in the studio.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought it would be fun. Should I or should I not do a segment on near-death experiences? Should I do that? I think that would be actually very interesting, and I don't know if anybody's ever done that.
Well, it turned into a roast, so I was all for it.
Are people? I don't know. Should I even look at the super text
Would you
line?
you could, but you could you could open, the phone lines and ask people if they've had near-death experiences. These are like wicked interesting.
6952. The smoke coming out of Dan's ears wasn't from the electricity. It was because he was thinking too much.
Yeah.
Amy would tell you that was because I was trying to think. There you go.
Oh, that's
We love you, Dan. You're an acquired taste. Thank you, Christine.
An acquired taste. I love that.
Interesting.
Wait a minute. I thought that was maybe a compliment, but now I'm not so sure. If somebody tells you that you're an acquired, do you know Amy said that to me too?
And
Amy said that to me. She said,
said
I
thank you?
wasn't so sure about you at first, but you take a little bit of time to get used to.
We're married, honey. What are you talking about?
So it's been 7 years, honey. It's like it's about time. Whatever. I don't know. Yes or no? Should we do a segment on near-death experiences?
I love it.
It feels like a Friday thing, but it's Tuesday. All right, we can do that maybe.
Yeah.
All right. 5:54. Time to find out from Joan Jones what's coming up in the news at 6.
Well, Tennessee lawmakers are returning to the state capitol today. We've got one of the bills that they're considering that may save you a little money. Also, we'll take a look at what First Lady-elect Melania Trump plans to do during this second office time, the second time in office for the president. Those stories coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening. By the way, programming note, Governor Bill Lee is going to be on with Murphy Show, Matt Murphy, coming up at 5:05 this afternoon. So looking forward to that. No doubt he's talking about a number of different things, I'm sure. But today is day one for the 2025 session of the Tennessee State Legislature. And clearly one of the things that they'll be talking about is Governor Lee's school choice program. I've got a big segment on that coming up next. Also, did you see overnight? Y'all are going to Google this, and so I might as well just tell you. Did you see who is rumored to be buying TikTok? Elon Musk.
Oh.
They're talking about Elon Musk buying TikTok. And that may be the only way that TikTok can remain here in America. Now, it's interesting because Trump, as y'all know, Trump used to be against TikTok before he was for it.
Right.
And so, but there's a reason for that. And we'll get into that and a whole lot more. Very busy next hour coming up. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is open. 615-737-9986. 615-737 WWTN. Also, by the way, coming up, we are going to talk about Governor Lee's plans for school choice and what Cameron Sexton and Jack Johnson have both had to say about this. It does seem like a fait accompli that it is going to pass in this 2025 session of the Tennessee State Legislature. Details straight ahead on WTN.
The guaranteed offer is...
Six o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We do have breaking news at this moment. The Associated Press is reporting that Hamas has now accepted an offer, a draft agreement for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the release of dozens of hostages. However, the Associated Press also says that an Israeli official said progress has been made, but the details are being finalized and that the plan would still need to be submitted to the Israeli cabinet for approval. We'll keep our eye on that story. Tennessee lawmakers are returning to the state capitol today. They're considering a host of bills, and one of them is an elimination of the grocery sales tax statewide. It's now 4%. The Census Bureau estimates that that's about $600 a year for the average Tennessean.
Being a young guy kind of fresh out of college and getting used to paying for more and more groceries on a daily basis, it would definitely be a nice relief to have. I'd say anytime we can save the overall public a little bit of money, I'm all for it.
Yeah, so there are, in fact, competing bills from both Republican and Democrat lawmakers. The big difference in them is how to make up for the lost revenue if the sales tax is eliminated. Disaster relief money is headed to Tennessee and North Carolina now. This is for road repairs after Hurricane Helene. The U.S. Department of Transportation made $352 million available yesterday. The money will help on repairs on I-40, I-26, and to the Blue Ridge Parkway. Damage estimates, though, total about $4 billion in that area. Hendersonville residents near Vulco Drive tell Channel 4 that they were shocked to learn that a teenager was shot and killed early Sunday morning in the city's first homicide of the year. The victim was 16 years old.
This is not typical of our neighborhood, and it's a good family that this tragedy came upon. And it's a sad thing that young people maybe sometimes don't understand the implications of weapons.
Police have identified 18-year-old Amani Jordan as the prime suspect. He has yet to be taken into custody. The Justice Department has made public Volume 1 of former Special Counsel Jack Smith's final report on his prosecution attempt of President-elect Donald Trump.
Special Counsel Jack Smith laid out his position in no uncertain terms that Donald Trump would have been convicted on multiple felonies for his efforts to unlawfully overturn the results of the 2020 election had voters not decided to send him back to the White House in the 2024 election. The release of the report marks the end of a more than 2-year investigation and prosecution of the former president, who's set to return to the Oval Office in 6 days. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
First Lady-elect Melania Trump has revealed where she intends to spend her time during her husband's second presidency. Speaking to Fox News, Melania said she'll primarily stay at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but of course she'll spend time in New York and Palm Beach too. She also says January 20th will be a very busy day.
The transition team has only 5 hours to move Biden's out and to move us in. So everything needs to be planned to the minute.
Melania wouldn't say if the Bidens have been accommodating with the transition. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a crash on eastbound 24 at Old Hickory Boulevard, north exit 40, and the left lane there is blocked off. There is a car that's sticking out into the left lane there. Be careful traveling around that. Also, Forest Hills, Old Hickory Boulevard at Hillsborough Pike. An injury there, a crash there involving injuries. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, by the way, before I forget, 625, what did Peter Doocy have to say to Cringe Jean-Pierre on her way out? It may have been, I think yesterday may have been her last press briefing. I'll play you that audio. Coming up, she lied all the way to the end.
It was so good.
Details straight ahead, 625 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There is a lot of news out there today, so let's get right to it. It is a big day for Pete Hegseth. His Senate confirmation hearings are today. It's all going to begin. I believe it's going to be 8:30 local time. So Jen Psaki, of course, over there on MSNBC, had this segment, of course, so predictable, blasting Pete Hegseth. Of course, last night she is doing whatever she can to ensure that he does not get confirmed. There are people that are saying that he does have the votes. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But, this is the tone and the tenor as the panic begins to set in over there on MSNBC.
I mean, just consider some of the things we already know about Hegseth just from excellent public reporting. We know about his alleged sexual assault of a woman at a Republican conference in 2017, where a woman told police Hegseth took her phone and blocked her from leaving his hotel room. Hegseth paid the woman an undisclosed sum as part of a settlement. He says the incident was consensual and no charges were filed.
Right. Of course, he denies this happened. And if you look at the story, and we covered this extensively, the woman clearly spent the night with Pete Hegseth and then expressed regret to her husband and pulled out the rape card. Now, remember what Hegseth said to Megyn Kelly about this incident.
Did you rape a woman in a hotel in Monterey?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've been honest about that encounter, starting with law enforcement from the beginning. I may have been drinking, but I was cognizant enough to remember every single detail. And I'm not here to say that my conduct was good. Being in a hotel room with someone that's, not the person you're with is not okay. I own up to that, and I've had to own up to that, and that's been difficult. And my wife's amazing, and she knew about it, but going through it again is not easy.
Yeah, he also says that he went through the discussions with police and the authorities, and with all of that camera footage, the cops decided there was not enough evidence to charge him. And to me, it is painfully obvious what happened. It was also brought up, of course, you heard her mention, Jen Psaki, you had heard her mention that Hegseth did pay her off. If it was consensual, why did you decide to do that? And he answered the question as plainly as can be, and it is obvious why he paid her off.
I paid her because I had to. Or at least I thought I did at the time. I was newly married. I was up for potential jobs in the administration, so my profile was higher. She got lawyers that reached out to mine and said, if you don't come forward and if you don't pay money, then ultimately we're going to out him. We were in the middle of a Me Too movement. I had a great job at Fox and a wonderful marriage. And I did it it's not what I should have done, but I did it to protect that.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. And unfortunately, if you're a guy like Pete Hegseth, and he should have known better, I'm not saying that his behavior was okay, but anybody who has been in that position knows, especially at that time, that even the accusation, without any proof whatsoever, can be an absolute career killer. And he understood that. Jen Psaki, of course, also went after his managerial skills last night on MSNBC. And, of course, these constant and perpetual accusations that he's been drunk on the job.
Then there was a bombshell report from Jane Mayer in The New Yorker about Hegseth's managerial record and reported alcohol abuse. As Mayer detailed in her piece, a trail of documents corroborated by the accounts of former colleagues indicates that Hegseth was forced to step down by both of the two nonprofit advocacy groups that he ran, Veterans for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America, in the face of serious allegations of financial management, sexual impropriety, and personal misconduct.
Which is kind of weird because the people that worked with him and actually took over his role at these various charities have all said that Pete Hegseth actually did a really fine job. Here's the thing that you need to understand that Jen Psaki clearly won't. The people that are for Pete Hegseth and have said that he did a great job and so forth, those people are on the record. The people that are attacking Pete Hegseth, they're all off the record. They refuse to show their face, which to me leads me to believe that there's quite a bit of BS in a lot of these different accusations. As far as the supposed drunken behavior, most, again, if not all, are anonymous sources. This is part of that storyline.
Mayer also reported that a previously undisclosed whistleblower report on Hegseth's tenure as the president of Concerned Veterans for America has described him as being repeatedly intoxicated while acting in his official capacity, to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events. She also reported about his inability to manage these relatively small organizations. As the head of the nonprofit group Veterans for Freedom, Mayer reported that Hegseth racked up over $430,000 in unpaid bills, in addition to as much as $75,000 in credit card debts.
So here's what Hegseth has said about all of that, because, again, these are anonymous allegations, and he does need to answer to these allegations, and he will beginning today.
I've never had a drinking problem. No one's ever approached me and said, oh, you should really look at getting help for a drink. Never. I've never sought counseling, never sought help. I respect and appreciate people who do. I found two things, my two J's. My Jenny, my wife Jennifer, changed my life, saved me. There's just no doubt about it. And my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And without those two J's, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
So he talks about how guys come back and they battle those demons with alcohol and, sadly, suicide. But as you just heard, his wife and his faith saved him. And one thing to note during all of this is that, again, these accusations are anonymous. Not one person, as far as I know, has been on the record. Now, apparently Chuck Schumer, he is out there now saying that there will be some, I'm quoting this, air quoting this, surprises at these confirmation hearings beginning today. His mandate to Democrats on the Armed Services Committee is to skewer the Trump nominees, and some are even saying, again, watch for some surprises. And so part of this is, okay, so we've seen this before with Judge Kavanaugh. And so I have a feeling that these confirmation hearings are going to be very Kavanaugh-esque. I've got some more audio, including the accusation that he stormed the stage of a strip club. Details straight ahead. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, a high of 45. Right now, 21 degrees at Super Talk 99.7. Going to be sunny skies as well. So in all of these accusations, of course, you have Jen Psaki last night on MSNBC doing what MSNBC does, right? This is what they do. They're attacking the Trump nominees. And so there was this accusation reported where Pete Hegseth was at a strip club on a business trip, and supposedly he got drunk and stormed the stage.
Storming the stage.
On the stage at a strip club. And we were just sitting there talking, end of the day. Where did this come from? And my brother and sister-in-law actually both worked with me at Concerned Veterans for America before she was my sister-in-law. And they said, Pete, don't you know what happened there? I said, no. He goes, there was an incident at a strip club. Something happened that was addressed. You were nowhere near there. You weren't even at the event. You weren't even in the state. Yet someone has there's so much information coming at us so fast that it's hard to digest it. You're being accused of something you weren't even at. So if they're making up an instance of something where I didn't even attend, how can you believe a single other thing that any of these people are saying in any instance, to include being carried up to my room?
All right, so you got the Democrats saying, watch for some surprises. Maybe they'll bring in some of the strippers to tell that story that, by the way, he denies. But as far as these accusations go that he's unqualified and terrible at managing businesses and so forth, here's what he has said about those accusations, is that he's been accused of mismanaging money and so forth. But he says that a lot of that is not true. This is part of what he has to say in his defense.
Ultimately, at the very end, I'll never forget, we were about 2 weeks out from the election, and the Politico types were saying, we're looking at the polling, and McCain's going to lose, and it's time to turn off the spigot because he's going to lose. And you tell that to a guy who's back from war, believes in the war, has a candidate who's fighting for that war, and lieutenant, which I was at the time, is going to say, I'm fighting for this war. I'm going to raise the money to do even more. I'm doubling down when you say the fight is lost because it matters to me and it matters to the war fighters. And that's what we did. So we spent a little bit more than we had at the end, cognizant of it. We knew it. We said, hey, we're going to pour a few more ads in at a few key places for a few races because we want to double down on trying to win this thing. We're not going to abandon this guy when he's been there for us. But we knew we were over our skis.
Yeah, and the other thing that he says is that he spent the last 2.5 years paying off those debts. And they did. And people who worked with him at the time in this organization have now come out and said that Pete was nothing but professional and outstanding at his job. And so now part of the news cycle this morning is you have the people on the left they are apoplectic because the FBI did not interview the women of Pete Hegseth's past, which apparently that's a thing. I don't know how many wives. Do you know, Joan, how many wives has Pete Hegseth had?
I think this is his third, if I'm correct.
Okay. So I guess my question would be, and I'm not gonna, say, oh, this is the Democrats, because apparently this is part of the confirmation process, the vetting process, is you go and whether it's a male or a female, you go and you speak to the exes of the people that are up for a post. And I've just got to ask the question, why would you possibly do that? I mean, most people who have exes will tell you that they're not going to say anything good about you, and quite possibly they may say a bunch of nasty lies about you. I mean, that happens literally all the time. So now the Democrats are saying, well, the vetting by the FBI, the background check from the FBI, there's nothing really to go on because they didn't speak to the woman who accused him of rape, and they didn't speak to his 2 ex-wives. And so now you've got the Democrats that are saying the FBI didn't do their vetting. Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat out of Connecticut, former state attorney general and Armed Services Committee member, told reporters last night there may be some surprises at Hegseth's confirmation hearing because we have been denied access to some of the materials and documents and other information, including the FBI report that may contain information forthcoming during the hearing. He says, I just want to emphasize there's already ample and abundant information on the public record that shows Pete Hegseth lacks the character, the confidence to be Secretary of Defense, Blumenthal adding that there's never been a nominee for this position as unqualified as he is by virtue of financial mismanagement, as well as sexual impropriety and alcohol. And there he goes. So that's what Blumenthal says. That is the environment that Pete Hegseth is going into. All right, now, coming up, by the way, word is that Hegseth does have the votes, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Coming up at 6:25, some great audio. Peter Doocy and his last words to Corinne Jean-Pierre, or as I've been calling her for the last couple of years, Cringe Jean-Pierre. It all happened yesterday. We'll play the audio for you right here on Super Talk 99.7. 6:20 right now. And Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan, what you got?
What we know about the alleged deal between Hamas and Israel on a ceasefire in Gaza. We've got details of that coming up. Also, you know that Colorado apartment complex where Trende Aragua moved in? We all watched the videos. Got some news about that apartment complex today. That's coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Of course, all that snow that we had here in the last several days. And, that's melted now. But do you know if some of that snow, when it melted, did it end up in your home? That could be a lot of water. So you need to check your foundation for cracks and your basement for water and water leaks. My friends at USS, United Structural Systems, they can help you out. And they'll tell you, because they've told me, the tiniest of cracks in your basement with the snow like what we had, water could, again, end up in your home and cause all kinds of issues. USS can help you with all of this. It gets really cold. What if your pipes burst? If that water remains unseen, it can turn into even bigger problems like mold and wood rot and the need for structural repair. Call these folks. This is my company for foundation waterproofing work as well. 615-488-7855. They've got 30,000 satisfied customers. United Structural Systems, their inspections are absolutely free, and they're not going to sell you unnecessary repairs. They are simply here to help. We guarantee our best. Call USS. Again, 615-488-7855. You can always find them online, USSTN.com. 625, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Big news from my friends at DT McCall's. If you've been thinking of buying a gun safe, but you've been putting it off, now is the time because gun safes are sales tax free at DT McCall's. They are the largest Liberty Safe dealer here in the state of Tennessee. You know, they do offer that free delivery and free setup. Other places going to charge you $500 at least for delivery and setup in bigger models and $300 for smaller models. Now, DT McCall & Sons, they deliver every safe free every time period and no setup charges either. So save some big bucks right now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, Franklin, always online. DTMcCalls.com. .627, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. What did Peter Doocy have to say to cringe Jean-Pierre at what I believe perhaps is going to be her very last press briefing?
Hi.
Thank you, Kareem. If I don't see you again.
Well, you know.
In the briefing. Thank you for always. You could have stopped taking the hard questions years ago, and you didn't. So we appreciate that.
Over 2 years, my friend. This is, let's say, one last dance, right? I don't know how I'm going to fill my dance card now.
Did she really answer tough questions? Like, let's be honest. No,
Never.
she never answered. With all due respect to Peter Doocy, but I mean, let's stop with the warm fuzzies. She literally lied. I'm in a bad mood today. Is this what it is? I can't see the humor in this. She lied to the American people for 2 flippin' years. So no, this is not a time for warm fuzzies at all. She's up on the podium there, and she's sort of laughing and smiling. And 2 years, my friend. Cringe Jean-Pierre, you are no friend of the American people. You are part of one of the biggest cover-ups in cover-up history here in America by saying that Joe Biden was fit for office.
How will I fill that void without you?
You tell me. You tell me.
Start some rumors in here, I guess.
He's getting red, too. Look at him.
Actually, it's funny. He is turning red. That's funny.
A week from now, it's all over.
Yes.
Between next Monday and 2028.
2028?
Who's the leader of the Democratic Party?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That is for people much smarter than I to make that assessment, that decision.
Finally, something we all agree on.
Obviously, voters will decide. That is not something for me to decide. I could say right now, in this moment, in this room, as I'm looking at the clock as it's counting down, because we have to leave shortly, you have the President Joe Biden, who is obviously the president and the leader of the Democratic Party. I do not have I cannot predict the future, so that is not something that I'm going to do from here.
All right, there you go. That is cringe Jean-Pierre. And Peter Doocy, their final
At one point,
chat.
she said she was sorry she took his question.
Oh, what? Did she really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Which
All right.
was great.
All right, 629, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got to let you know that there is a crash this morning, 65 southbound lanes. This is in Madison, and the HOV lane is blocked by it. We'll get more from traffic, and we'll have your weather, too, still to come here. President-elect Donald Trump's pick to lead the Defense Department will sit for confirmation hearings this morning after hearings for the Veterans Affairs Secretary nominee Doug Collins and Interior Secretary nominee Doug Burgum were postponed. Meantime, D.C. is preparing for Inauguration Day.
Security preparations are in full swing. Anti-Trump protests are planned for Monday, but authorities report no credible threats. 25,000 law enforcement officials will be on duty, including 4,000 officers, 7,800 National Guard members, along with a fleet of drones, numerous tactical teams, counter snipers, and 30 miles of fencing.
Sirens screaming down the avenue.
Country star Carrie Underwood will perform along with disco icons The Village People.
That's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. Hamas has reportedly accepted a draft agreement for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the release of dozens of hostages. Now, the Associated Press reporting today that those negotiations were at their closest point yet to sealing a deal. Israel, however, actually says that progress has been made, but the details are being finalized. Remember the Colorado apartment complex where Tren Aragua gang members were caught on camera breaking into that apartment? Well, the apartment complex is being closed down. It's because of an emergency court order, which came after the city of Aurora, Colorado, declared that all but one of the buildings in that complex is a criminal nuisance. That is the latest news.
But there's nothing to see here.
Nothing at all.
Nothing to see here.
And besides, it was only a couple of people.
Sure, there's only a few Tren Aragua gang members.
So,
as in maybe a couple dozen.
Right.
Carrying, massive weaponry and threatening and kidnapping people and pistol whipping people and robbing them and stealing all the stuff out of their apartment. Yeah,
this
nothing
is
to
the
see here.
United States, people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 632 on Super Talk. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Brentwood Jewelry, a great local company that has been giving back for over 50 years. The Amamali family, they're full of heroes. They own Brentwood Jewelry, and the family patriarch is Salem, and he served in special forces. His sons serve as local firefighters here in our community. This really is, at Brentwood Jewelry, the Amamali family, this is a great American family. I've talked about how when you walk into Brentwood Jewelry, they've got American flags everywhere. And I'm telling you, these days, conservatives, we need to stick together. And we need to support businesses where we're all aligned. And at Brentwood Jewelry, absolutely. Now, part of that giving back is giving you great deals on all things jewelry. From watches to earrings and necklaces and definitely engagement rings, they'll help you find the perfect ring within your budget. And if you can't find what you want, they'll custom design a ring just for you. Find them online, BrentwoodJewelry.com, 7012 Church Street East. Again, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years.
Yeah, so we have a couple of accidents here. Eastbound 24, we at Old Hickory Boulevard. That's exit 40. It's a crash, and the left lane is blocked there, and they say it's stop and go from exit 35 up to exit 40. Then in Madison, the crash blocking the HOV lane on 65, southbound side before Due West Avenue overpass. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:35, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Dan Mandis here along with Joan Jones. KGB Jeff Malinoff is producing today as well. And welcome on in to your Tuesday, January 14th. Today marks, by the way, day one of the 2025 legislative session here in the Tennessee State Legislature. And Governor Bill Lee will be on with Matt Murphy later today at 5:05. Now, for the next 3 to 4 months, of course, everybody is going to be talking about the Education Freedom Act of 2025. It seems to be a really big battle that Republicans are going to face this year. You have a lot of Republicans who are very much for this, including Jack Johnson, who is the Senate Majority Leader. I interviewed him last week, and House Leader Cameron Sexton. Both seem like they are ready to get this done. Here's what's interesting. I've spoken to a handful of Republicans who are, and conservatives, of course, who are against this. But you know what they say? They feel like it's and I'm not going to say who I spoke to, but they say that they feel like it is a fait accompli, that like this is going to pass. And so they're just not even getting involved in the argument because ultimately they say they know that this is a losing argument. But some Republicans are against it, many for it. Beacon Center had a poll that showed that 75% of Republicans did support the governor's plan. Other polls have a show of support as well. Beacon Center, by the way, is for this proposal. But that's a pretty good amount. 75% of Republicans supporting this. 25%, of course, would mean that they do not support it. According to the bills that have already been filed in the state legislature, and again, I spoke to Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson about all this, the new legislation would offer 20,000 vouchers worth about $7,000 each in taxpayer funds to students statewide to attend private schools. That number will continue to grow by 5,000 scholarships a year after that, if it all works out. There would also be state funding that would make up any gaps that school districts could see from enrollment drops. Because if you have a whole bunch of students that leave, let's say Shelby County, Memphis, and they leave for a neighboring school district, then they have funding to make up for those enrollment gaps. Also, they'll be offering a one-time $2,000 bonus to every teacher in the state. I will cynically say that is to get the teachers on board, perhaps. And they'll also establish a new state funding source for school building construction and maintenance. So there's a lot in here. Remember that funding will not pull money from public schools. People on the left are like, oh, my God, you're trying to defund the public. No, they're not. Just stop it already. That's from a different bucket of money, as they say. Governor Bill Lee has been on this station, on my show, way back when, talking about how this is a different bucket of money. Funding for public schools will remain the same. Now, the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, here in Tennessee, he was on with Murphy's show this week, and he wants to work out, actually it was late last week, but he wants this whole thing to work out for Governor Lee to get this thing passed. Jack Johnson, again, does as well. And he talked about why this is so important for Tennesseans.
And what I will say is it's their tax dollars. Whether you're wealthy or not, it's your tax money. You're paying in, whether you may not be using it because you may be paying private school right now, but you are paying in taxes that's going to education. And so why should we not allow every single parent to have the same opportunity to educate their kid? Right now, if you're wealthy, you can go to a private school and pay for it. But if you're not, you're kind of stuck based on where your zip code is. And is that right? And then if you're in a failing school or a school that's not right fit, should you not be able to do that? If you have a school board, if you're in Memphis and the school board's firing another director of schools and going through this, and they've had 5 decades of bad success, why should you be sentenced to your child to that because you're middle to low income? Should you not have another opportunity that's better for your child? And
I think every single conservative understands that school choice is a big part of our philosophy. School choice is very important. But I think the worry is, what will this plan eventually turn into? Remember the House last year, led by Cameron Sexton, had their own version of all of this. You had 3 versions, the House, the Senate, and Governor Bill Lee's version as well. And the House was all full of ideas that the Senate simply wasn't on board with. And so as they continue to negotiate, here's the question. Will these two sides, the House and the Senate, start adding more and more, some would call it pork. Some say it's against the state constitution, by the way. That's what some say. Others say the state can't afford this in the long run. Still others say that this will dilute the private schools and bring the problems of public schools to private schools. So to me, I think there's a lot of legit conversations. I don't think that anybody is saying that school choice is no longer a tenet of conservatism, but it's the path and how we get there for the state of Tennessee. And is this ultimately the right plan? Now, all of that to say, parents and families should have the opportunity to get out of failing schools and go to a better school. All conservatives and Republicans believe that. Democrats call it defunding of public schools. It's not. It's simply giving kids an opportunity to get into a better situation. And again, who doesn't want that for the kids of Tennessee? Now, one thing Speaker Cameron defended is the fact that ESA students, remember, ESA is Education Savings Accounts, the pilot program where you have several districts across the state, including Shelby County, Memphis. They are showing progress. They rolled out this pilot program a couple of years ago, and the headline I think it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But the headline was this: TCAP scores show Tennessee ESA schools underperforming in proficiency to public schools. But you see, Sexton says that's not really the point.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of misinformation. People like the ESA students aren't performing as good as their peers all throughout the state. That's inaccurate. That they showed.
We all saw that graph last week, right?
Right. I mean, but that growth is comparing ESA students who were already behind, who was below proficiency, who were not proficiency, with kids who are in Maryville and other school systems that are proficient. And so what you have to do is look at the growth that they've had in proficiency compared to the students across the state. They had fourfold, a 300% increase in proficiency in math and English to ESA students compared to all students in the.
So, in other words, these ESA kids, they're still behind, the Education Savings Accounts kids. They're still behind, but they're showing massive improvement. And isn't that the point? And so you've got all these kids that are in these schools, these really good schools that have been in these really good school districts for a long time. The ESA kids come in, and of course, they're going to be behind because they've been in sucky schools probably all of their educational career. But if they're showing massive improvement after only a couple of years, that's actually very good. But you see, you got people on both sides that have a different read and a different interpretation of the data. This is from the article on Fox 17. The new scores did reveal ESA students are approaching expectations at a quicker rate than public school students in math and English for 2023 and 2024. It shows ESA students in Memphis, Shelby County outperformed public school students in English and math and matched their proficiency in math. So the point Sexton is making is don't look at their scores compared to these other kids that have been in good schools all their lives. Look at the progress that these kids are making who have gone into these better schools and they're thriving. And this is only a couple of years in. We do talk about giving kids a fighting chance, right? That's part of what makes conservatism, especially in these cities where the schools, let's be honest, they're terrible, like a Shelby County and some Nashville schools as well. They are terrible. Get those kids into a better school and watch them thrive. That is the whole point. And Cameron Sexton says, and I agree, that's how you break the cycle of poverty.
The best way to end poverty in our state is to make sure that child has an education experience that fits them. And I think that they should be able to use their tax-paying money to make that decision that's best for them.
And there's a little bit more on this. There's a lot of disagreement on it. By the way, this is going to be a major conversation for the next several months. And we'll all have, various lawmakers on to talk about whether this is the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do. Again, there's some people that are saying it's not constitutional. There's some people saying, oh, Lord, what what pork, if you will the Republicans end up putting into this thing, that it's going to ultimately be a disaster in the long run. There's a lot of concerns, and I think there's a lot of legit concerns with what Governor Lee wants to do. However, what is the big difference between what happened in last year's special session and this year's? There is a big difference. It's all coming up. 6:45, time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, a high of 45 right now, 20 degrees at Super Talk 99.7. And by the way, look for sunny skies today. So talking about Governor Lee and how he wants a school choice across Middle Tennessee. The big difference between last year's state session and this year's is that last year, clearly, the House and the Senate, they were worlds apart. It seemed anyway to me, worlds apart on what they wanted in their legislation to implement what Governor Lee wanted to do. As I said earlier, you had the state Senate that had what their idea was. It was a cleaner bill. You had the House that had a lot of stuff in that thing, and the Senate just wasn't on board. And Governor Lee had his own ideas. But now, going into this session, which begins today, the House and the Senate both have filed bills that are the same, basically. And so they're all on the same page. And so now the question is, number one, are they really on the same page? And what's going to happen during negotiation? That's number one. Number two, will they have to call for a special session? Because that's part of what I believe needs to happen. This is critically important. And a special session will allow the lawmakers to simply focus on this one issue of school choice. Now, they did also talk about one of the big criticisms from conservatives, some conservatives, is that this could be a way for the state assembly to regulate or manage the private schools, because you've got these scholarships, if you will. And so you're going to have these kids going from the public schools into the private schools. Does that mean that the state assembly is going to be able to regulate the private schools or manage them somehow? Are there going to be a bunch of strings attached? Now, Sexton told Matt Murphy, no, but they do want accountability. If these private schools are accepting these scholarships, then yes, he says there does have to be some testing, and yes, there does have to be some accountability.
If you're a private school, you do not have to take the scholarship. It's your choice, right? So whether there's things in it or not, and there's nothing in there that we're doing to the private schools that make them do anything other than say they have to give some type of national assessment. That could be the TCAP, or it could be something else. But
you just need to see some sort of results.
But are you really going to send your kid to a private school and pay all that money if you're paying it for yourself and not have them give them some type of assessment that as a parent, you know where that child stands? Almost every private school that I know gives some type of assessment to the parent. Sometimes it's the Iowa test. There's other tests to let the parents understand where they are.
Right. And so some of these private schools in Tennessee, they don't have the assessments that other schools do. That could change under this legislation. Another issue, and this is one that we've all talked about, is the fact that the average tuition for private school is like $12,000. The state, through this program, is only allowing around $7,000 to use for school choice. That obviously, do the math, it means that the families, many of these families, all of these families are going to be short $5,000. So the question is, where does that money come from?
You're giving them the capability of at least having the chance to afford it, but they could also get a scholarship. That school can now offer more scholarships to cover that cost. They could do more opportunities for those kids. They can expand because now that family has $7,000 and they can, instead of giving 10 scholarships, they can give 20 now.
All right. So there's, again, a lot to talk about. And I don't know about you, but when this finally failed in the state legislature last year, I was over and done with this conversation. It was clear that it was, I'm just going to say, I felt like it was a bit of a train wreck. We'll have to see. It seems like both Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader, Cameron Sexton, House Leader, they are both on the same page here, where they want to get this passed for Governor Bill Lee, and obviously this is a legacy thing for the governor. He really wants his legacy to be implementing and instituting school choice here for the state of Tennessee. We'll have to see how it goes. And ultimately, I believe that they will have to have a special session to knock all of this out. It is 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan Jones has the news at 7. Joan, what you got coming up?
Well, Nashville's transit plan is getting some new life after a decision by a judge. And is there or not a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas? We'll take a look. Those stories coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here. You know, I always recommend Mark Spain Real Estate here in Nashville because I trust that they will sell your home hassle-free with a very strong all-cash offer. Now, they've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years now, and they've served over 58,000 families. And with all of those clients, Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed company in America with over 12,500 five-star reviews. Now, you can trust my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit and the least amount of hassle. That is the guaranteed offer. Now, you know the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends. They have consistently named Mark Spain Real Estate as a top real estate team in America 8 years in a row, including being ranked #1 in the nation for closed transactions 5 years in a row. Now, there's a reason for that. It's because of that guaranteed offer. A quick sale and maximum profit, limited amount of hassle. So get a guaranteed offer on your home today, 855-299-SOLD. Always tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 855-299-SOLD. Online anytime, markspain.com, and start packing.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
6:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Joan.
Yes.
People are noticing that you got all choked up in the last segment.
I'm so sick. I'm so sorry, people.
And people are telling me that I'm not being gentlemanly because I have not yet offered you any of my slippery elm. I've got it right here.
It's very kind of you. I'm a coffee addict, and that's part of the 12-step program, I think. And so I prefer to drink my coffee for now, but when this cup is done, I might actually come over there and get some slippery elm.
Malinoff, what happens is everyone mocks the slippery elm until they need the slippery elm. So just for the record, Chris Hand,
right?
Matt Murphy, if I remember right, Cameron Smith, and now Joan Jones, after mocking my slippery elm, have come to ask me for some of my slippery elm.
Thank you for not making us beg for it. That's big of you.
Well, here's another advice. I always got this from my mom. She always made this for me when I was sick. If I had like a throat issues, it would be like tea, like obviously like something like that too, with some honey in it. Honey, like something to burn the throat and honey to soothe it.
Yep.
And that's the problem. There's no honey here. I should have brought some with me this morning because I had some yesterday.
We need to go get those bears. The bottle with the bear on it?
Yeah.
Come on.
That was a dad joke if I ever heard one.
I
was going to say, what?
I don't even deserve the rim shot that was on that one.
That was a KGB joke if I've ever heard one. How's that? How's it feel
in
now,
Soviet
KGB?
Russia, we do not have very good jokes.
Hey, Donald Trump was on Newsmax, and he was asked very specifically about how the American people will see results day one on his border executive order.
You're preparing a number of executive orders that are going to next Monday afternoon. Immigration is the big one, and that's where I wanted to go to next. How fast do you think Americans are going to see results? We're going to start seeing deportations. How fast will we feel what you're about to do?
Immediately. It's going to be immediate. We had the safest border in history during my presidency, when I turned around and looked at that beautiful chart that came down from a crane or wherever it came from. That was a chart on immigration with the best immigration numbers we ever had. We're going to have them again. We're going to have them maybe even better. But we have to get a lot of people out. We have criminals at a level that nobody could believe, terrorists, and as I said, murderers, people that murdered people. Many people murdered more than when they came from prisons, and they came from mental institutions, insane asylums. There are street gangs from Venezuela and many other countries.
Yeah, listen, we all know the story, and we all know that we are going to be in for an incredible 4 years. And you're going to see, and we've talked about this before, you're going to see the media doing everything they possibly can to politicize what Donald Trump is doing, which he's a politician, so that's all fine, well, and good. They're going to talk about separating families. They're going to be obsessed with this, with this notion that the Trump administration is separating families. Well, you know what? If you're a bad guy and you're killing folks and you're raping people, you're damn right you're going to be separated from your family because you need to go back to where you came from or you need to be in prison. That's what needs to happen. And so for the American people and Trump supporters, we are going to be getting hit with those kinds of accusations. Oh, you're separating families. You know what I would say? You're damn right. Because sometimes these kinds of people, these kinds of violent people, they need to be separated not only from their families, they need to be separated from America and society. It is 7 o'clock, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Nashville's new transit plan has survived a legal challenge. The group called Committee to Stop an Unfair Tax sued, claiming it's against state law and that it misled voters as to the actual cost. But a Chancery Court judge has disagreed now, saying that it is legal and it can proceed. So for now, the 1/2 cent sales tax increase, That starts February 1st. The plan, as advertised, is a $3.1 billion Choose How You Move plan. It uses that half-cent sales tax increase, and it grants and some grants as well to make improvements to the city's bus system, sidewalks, and traffic signals over several years. Well, in one East Side neighborhood, people living along Fernwood Drive tell Channel 4 that people are driving recklessly through their 25-mile-an-hour neighborhood.
We were sitting and enjoying our coffee and heard a very loud screeching and a big, big, big bang. We ran outside to make sure that they were okay, and they stopped for a few seconds and then peeled off.
Now, she lost a mailbox and part of her fence in that crash. She says that she and her neighbors have all petitioned Nashville DOT to help them out, but their efforts to apply through the so-called traffic calming program have so far fallen on deaf ears. A local farmer wants the city of Franklin to annex his land and allow him to develop it into a residential neighborhood. Ravenswood Farm would turn its nearly 500 acres into a mix of residential units, walking trails, and green space. City leaders are considering the proposal. They'll give it a hearing in February. All eyes are on D.C. today as Pete Hegseth faces a Senate committee for his first confirmation hearing.
Pete Hegseth is a former Fox News host. He has been fending off allegations of sexual misconduct, financial mismanagement, as well as excessive drinking, all of which he denies. Sources do tell us that the FBI has completed a background check on Hegseth and also questioned people in his personal life. I'm learning from sources that he has been doing these mock hearings, preparing to be in the hot seat. He will certainly face a lot of questions from senators on both sides of the aisle.
That's ABC reporter Rachel Scott. Well, some news outlets are reporting that there is a ceasefire deal struck between Israel and Hamas today. Among the concessions would be the return of some hostages to Israel. But as ABC's Shannon Kingston tells us, it's not really clear yet if that deal's been finalized.
Some of the major kind of blocks of this haven't really been finalized. Nothing is carved in stone yet, including the number of hostages that would be turned over. Right now, we're looking at somewhere around 30, possibly 33 hostages involved in the deal, and they could be either living or dead. So that's a grim reality that Israel's dealing with. They could be getting remains back in exchange.
And officials in Qatar this morning are saying that that deal is in its final stages. We do have some traffic accidents to tell you about on 24 this morning, both east and westbound. Stick around. We've got traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. All right, here's what's happening on eastbound 24 this morning. It's a crash eastbound side at Old Hickory Boulevard. It's blocking the left shoulder. That's exit 40, and it's stop and go from 35, exit 35 up to 40. Now, there's also a couple of accident spots on the westbound side of 24. One is at Almaville Road, exit 70. That one blocks the right lane. And we also have an accident at exit 59, also blocking the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in, friends, to your Tuesday, January 14th of 2025. Man, is it cold. I love how in the news today we have Hamas and Israel, and apparently they're getting close to a deal, and that deal would include the hostages being released. I just want to point out to folks what Donald Trump said. And this was a couple of weeks ago, but this has been going on for quite some time.
If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. Can you elaborate? And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. They should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that.
I mean, anybody notice that, Donald Trump is elected President of the United States, and we have just this spirit and this sort of muscular, I keep using this term, muscular conservatism, where Trump is just saying, you know what, enough of the BS. I love that. You know what, that could have very easily have been one of Donald Trump's campaign slogans, enough of the BS. I love that he's pissed off. I love that he's putting terrorist organizations. I love that he's putting Hamas and Iran on notice. Because, by the way, when Trump said all hell is going to break loose, that wasn't just a message to Hamas friends. That was also a message to Iran. And I sincerely hope that we had Andy Ogles, Congressman Andy Ogles, on yesterday. And one of the things that he said is that, remember, Donald Trump is going to be a dictator on day one. And so part of what I hope he does on day one is re-implement the sanctions against Iran so that their economy will once again be in tatters so that they can't fund terrorism. Because remember, Hamas carried out that attack on Israel. However, it was funded by Iran, and Hamas was trained by Iran's Revolutionary Guard. And they need to pay for that. And right now, under Joe Biden, Iran is still selling all of that oil to China because Joe Biden and the very pacifist Biden administration, they're just looking the other way. So I love how pissed off Donald Trump is. I am. And you'll notice that when he speaks, people are listening. Let me ask you a question, friends. Do you really believe that if Joe Biden had won a second term or if it was Kamala Harris, do you really believe that there would be a deal for the hostages? No, there wouldn't be a deal. They just keep on going. We also have the noise that Ukraine and Russia, of course, both sides, seems to me like they're getting ready to start sitting down and negotiating. Remember, Donald Trump said that he would have that solved on day one. I said at the time the president-elect said that, I said, well, I don't know about day one, but at the very least, there will be more progress than with Joe Biden. Meantime, the countdown to January 20th does continue.
President Trump will soon occupy the White House. DOGE will soon get to work, and we can finally have some real momentum to dismantle the administrative state once and for all, returning the power back to the people.
Now, that is Senator Eric Schmitt, who has now filed legislation. We've spoken about, and I had a big interview way back when. I really enjoyed it with the Heritage Foundation and a couple of our lawmakers as well. I can't remember which ones, but we talked about the power of the agencies, right? These governmental agencies. And so there's a lot of power in Washington, D.C. with these governmental agencies, unelected bureaucrats. And they have power and they're able to impact the American people, even though they can't actually be held accountable because they're unelected bureaucrats. And so the audio that I just played, that was Senator Eric Schmitt. He's filed legislation to deal with all of the government regulation at the hands of these agencies. Remember, one of the things that Trump said, and one of the things that he was so successful at in his first term, was cutting government red tape. For every regulation added, Donald Trump's goal was to cut regulations.
The Eraser Act, which prohibits any agency from issuing a rule unless the same agency has repealed at least 3 rules. Additionally, the bill prohibits an agency from issuing a major rule unless the agency has repealed 3 or more rules and the cost of the new major rule is less than or equal to the cost of the rule that's being repealed.
Nice.
This would make agencies think twice before promulgating new regulations. And because these agencies are addicted to the power that comes from regulating Americans, it could have the added benefit of stripping many regulations from the books altogether and freeing Americans from the bonds of over-regulation.
I love it. Now, remember, many conservatives, of course, scream about these agencies and how these unelected bureaucrats are making policy, which is what Congress and the White House is supposed to do. Because you can hold them accountable, and these regulations not only cost a ton of money, but they also make it impossible for the American engine of ingenuity and capitalism to move forward. And so these regulations, as you know, can be stifling. One of the biggest things that Donald Trump did in his first term in office is he did cut a ton of these regulations. Now, you'll notice this piece of legislation that this senator is talking about is beyond what Trump did in January of 2017. In January of 2017, Trump signed an executive order requiring agencies to eliminate 2 regulations for every new one issued. The one Schmitt just proposed cuts 3 for every one. And they have to match, by the way, in dollar cost as well. You can't just issue one regulation that's going to cost $1 billion and cut 3 regulations that only cost $500,000. You're going to add $1 billion, you've got to take $1 billion away. I love that. What Donald Trump did is he saved the American people a lot of money, billions of dollars. Now, critics will complain because in that first term in office, they say that Donald Trump saved about, $15, $20, $25 billion, something like that, by cutting all of these regulations. The regulations, by the way, that were cut also helped fuel the job market because there wasn't as many regulations holding back the economy and holding back businesses. This meant that they could do research, they could hire people, and they could move forward with what they wanted to move forward with, because all those regulations were not holding them back. Now, you got some people out there, some nervous Nellies, the critics, complaining about how these lack of regulations, oh my gosh, Donald Trump is going to have a major impact on the environment. That's what they say. Here's what I don't get. Can I just ask this question? What I don't get is California has massive regulations. And they still have their massive fires and a homeless problem and a crime problem and an illegal alien problem, whether or not they're willing to admit it or not, even though they have all of these regulations. So what they should do, and what anybody who's on the left should do, is take a look at what Donald Trump and the Republicans want to do, which is cut regulations, and how those regulatory cuts from those agencies, those cuts would actually fuel America and fuel our economy and help our budget big time. That is what the Republicans and the conservatives want to do, including this guy in the Senate, Eric Schmidt. But he's not done. Wait till you hear what else he wants to do. That is coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN 716. Time to check the roads on Super Talk. Very good. Weather today, a high of 45 and sunny skies today. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Talking about basically what the Republicans in the Senate and the House are doing is they're setting the table for Donald Trump. Remember, he's going to have something like 100 executive orders on day one. But the Republicans in the Senate, what they're looking to do is help Donald Trump deregulate our nation, deregulate our government and our economy and so forth. And so, as I just played for you, they have this idea, and it's a great idea, for each new regulation, they've got to cut 3, and they've got to match in dollar amounts. That's huge. But they're also talking about eliminating the Chevron deference and making this Chevron deference, eliminating it and making that into law, making sure that it doesn't come back. Here's his audio, then I'll explain what Chevron deference is.
The Separation of Powers Restoration Act, which builds on the Supreme Court's ruling in the Loper-Bright case and tearing down of the Chevron deference that we've lived with for decades. This bill would enact a stricter standard of review. No longer can agencies expect the courts to just side with their interpretation of a statute like they could when Chevron deference was in place.
So that's a big deal. Now, the Chevron deference, if you don't remember, we all covered this, back last year. These agencies for a long time enjoyed this Chevron deference, which basically meant that if you ended up in court over a particular regulation or a law and how that law should be interpreted, the court was mandated to defer to the interpretation of the statute by the agency's interpretation. So if you were going up against a governmental agency in court and you were fighting over how a law or a piece of regulation should be interpreted, the courts were mandated to take the side of the governmental agency. I mean, that's not fair. And it finally got in front of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no. And the Supreme Court ruled against the government. That was huge. So now, if a small business or a homeowner sues the Department, let's say, of the Interior over how something should be interpreted, the courts will now look at the case of both sides, and not one side or the other has any kind of deference. They're simply going to go by who has the better argument. And so you do have a fighting chance going up against the federal government and their agencies. And so Senator Schmidt, he wants to pass a law to eliminate that Chevron deference once and for all.
This bill would institute a de novo standard of review. Under a de novo standard of review, courts will weigh the merits of the arguments without deference standard to either side, placing American citizens and businesses either caught on the wrong side of regulatory enforcement action or challenging the validity in the first place on equal footing in a court with that agency. This is a critical effort which will strip power away from the unelected bureaucrats and put the power back in the hands of Americans.
Yes, so last year the Supreme Court overruled the Chevron deference. That was a very big deal. Now Schmidt wants to set the table for DOGE. Remember what Vivek Ramaswamy said, and I reported this to you. Many others have said this as well, is that you could actually dismantle some of these governmental agencies just by killing their regulations. You cut all these regulations, then you don't need all of these people, and you can save a ton of money on that.
I look forward to working hand in hand with the Trump administration and with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and my colleagues in the DOGE caucus to finally reform and dismantle the administrative state, shrink the size of the federal government, reinstitute fiscal sanity here in Washington, and stop these agencies from burdening American citizens with their onerous regulatory schemes.
Listen, I know it's wonky, but that is really, really important. It is 7:21 on Nashville's Morning News. Coming up, Joe Biden said what?
Again.
I'm going to miss some parts of the Biden administration, like, for example, the constant show prep that he provides. He and Cringe Jean-Pierre. But those are the only things that I will miss about Joe Biden. He said a whopper yesterday. Details straight ahead. Joan Jones has the news at 7:30. Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, the streets of D.C. are filling up this morning. We'll tell you which group is there and why they are there. Also, we'll tell you what Nashville DOT is issuing a warning about today. Those stories coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 7:21 on Nashville's Morning News. Guys, if you're feeling tired, motivation just isn't there, maybe some weight gain and muscle loss, these could all be signs of low testosterone, and it's time you find out for sure with my friends at Low T Center. Now, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It is just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you're going to get your results back immediately. Now, this isn't your typical doctor's office. They simply specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each individual patient. That's huge. Now, they've been helping patients for over a decade, and their treatment plans are optimized for each patient, personalized just for you. There's nothing standard about Low T Center. Everything is customized and personalized just for you. By the way, for current patients, Low T Center offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com and book your appointment today. That is lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care. Hey, everybody, Dan Mandis from Nashville's Morning News. The Wall Street Journal reported a while ago that people are feeling stress, anxiety, and depression because of this election. If that's you, talk to my guy, Dr. Christopher Van Schenk. He is a psychiatrist out in Nolensville. Now, he can help you with not only depression, if you're feeling it because of politics or whatever, but he can also help you with alcoholism, drug abuse as well. Go to his website, nolensvillepsychiatry.com. He's got a long list of conditions that he can help you with, either in person or telehealth. Bottom line is, he wants to make it as easy as possible for you to get the help that you need. He can help your kids as well. Check him out online. Again, nolensvillepsychiatry.com. The number's below. Thanks for listening, and good luck. Dan Mandis here, 726 Nashville's Morning News. You know that January can be a time to clean, purge, and become healthier. Zero Res can help you do just that. They offer you a healthier way to clean your home. And using Zero Res means that they can use cleaning agents that leave your carpet cleaner and healthier than those other carpet cleaning companies. You know, when they clean with their ZR water technology, they leave no soap, no residue, and no harsh chemicals. Zero Res is going to clean and sanitize your surfaces without the use of detergents or harsh chemicals, which means that, yes, your carpet does stay clean longer, unlike those other carpet cleaning companies. Now, right now, they've got a great deal just for you. By the way, I've been a fan of Zero Res and a customer of Zero Res for years. They've got a great deal going on right now. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for just $99. And celebrate the new year with 25% off of upholstery cleaning. Be healthy and stay healthy in 2025 with Zero Res. Restrictions may apply. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. Book online, ZeroResNashville.com. $7:29, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The gaslighting is just off the charts. Listen to Joe Biden talking about the border and the border numbers when he came into office.
Look, let's get something in mind about the border. When I became president, the numbers came way down.
Wow.
Number 2, we had a circumstance where I pushed very hard for a bipartisan agreement to put more people on the border, more Secret Service agents. And guess what? He's on the phone saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Make me look bad.
Wow. Joe Biden just completely off the charts. And by the way, Joe, we don't put Secret Service agents on the border. That's not how it works. 7:30 on WTN.
$7:30, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. California residents are being told to keep their emergency alerts turned on at all times, as now the winds are picking up again in the Los Angeles area, and it's fanning fears of another inferno.
ABC News has learned at least 4 homeowners and renters have filed lawsuits against Southern California Edison, claiming the company failed to de-energize equipment despite high wind warnings. The head of SoCal Edison's parent company says they've seen no indication their equipment started the fire, but they're aware of the videos and are investigating. A new estimate predicts $30 billion in insured losses.
That's ABC's Zoreen Shaw. As of last night, the Eaton fire was 33% contained. The Palisades fire was just 14% contained. Well, 2 former Navy SEALs are planning to bring hundreds of veterans to Washington, D.C. this week to march in support of Pete Hegseth's confirmation for Defense Secretary. Those confirmation hearings begin at 9:30 this morning.
Today, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth faces his confirmation hearing. Some senators claim they were denied access to his FBI background check. Hegseth is expected to be grilled about allegations of sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse, all of which he denies.
And sources say that Hegseth's FBI background check does not include an interview with the woman who accused him of sexual assault. No charges were filed in that case. It's unclear why there was no interview.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. Metro Nashville police have identified the man found on New Year's Day beaten to death by the Cumberland River. Well, investigators believe he is 42-year-old Stephen Himes. He was a homeless man living near the river. His death was the first homicide in Nashville this year. Nashville DOT is warning about the likelihood of potholes popping up after Friday's snowfall. So if you see potholes that need filling, you can call 311 or use the Hub Nashville app. Now, if you do see crews out there fixing holes, NDOT says give them a break and give them a little extra space to get their work done. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
You know what happens, Joan, is that the potholes never get fixed, and then you end up counting the days. Okay, so this pothole, I called in or I put on the app that there's a pothole right here, and it's been, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 days.
Yeah.
And it takes them forever. You know what happened one time?
Tell me.
This was actually embarrassing. People were jamming the super text line. They were saying, oh, you call the line and they never answer. They never answer.
Yeah.
We called live on the air and they answered. It was like the one time they answered, right? And I was like, oh, crap.
Were you prepared to talk to them about it?
Nope.
Great.
Nope.
Yeah.
It was as awkward as this conversation is.
Yeah.
Actually. So,
way to go.
7:33. By the way, is TikTok about to be saved? Details straight ahead. 7:33. Nashville's Morning News. Don't go through another year with all that high-interest debt, friends. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out and help you do that right now. Dan Mandis here. Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pockets fast with Loan Pronto. No appraisals, no paperwork, and no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven technology gets you approved and funded in as little as one day. Now, one client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off all their credit cards, couple of cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month with Loan Pronto. Now, with low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, and take control of your finances. So call them, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Get your free quote now with no hard credit pull. Find them online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, and NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Still have that crash, eastbound lanes, 24 at Old Hickory Boulevard. And it is apparently still blocking the left shoulder there. Got a crash as well on Bell Road at Blue Hole Road. And one in Bellevue on I-40 westbound before Old Hickory Boulevard West. That's exit 199 with the right lane there being blocked. And actually, police are saying in that spot, it's two separate crashes. One of them is an SUV into the rock wall. So careful. Also, crash reported Whites Creek. This is on Whites Creek Pike. north of Old Hickory Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.737 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening. Could it be the end of TikTok? Joan, are you on TikTok?
I am.
All right.
My husband scolds me for it.
He thinks that you're giving into, commie China?
Yeah.
They have until January 19th to figure out how to stay in operation before they're shut down here in America. Now, remember why they're about to be banned, why TikTok is about to be banned. It's owned by China, and there are national security concerns along with concerns about free speech, data collection as well. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of companies. Do you mind if I ask, Joan, what do you follow on TikTok?
What do I follow?
Yeah, what do you watch?
I don't really watch a whole lot. I use it because my kids will send me videos that say, watch this, Mom. And if I don't have TikTok, I can't watch what they send me. So that's all I do. I don't really engage with it. I just watch what they send me.
Amy watches like cooking show kind of
cool.
stuff, like cooking videos, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that really, and a lot of companies that do depend on TikTok for marketing and advertising. It's not just a bunch of pierced freaks screaming about Donald Trump.
But there's a lot of them.
But there is a lot of that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that, spend time screaming about, Democrats too. I mean, conservatives are on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan and a lot of those podcasters that helped Donald Trump get into office have a massive presence on TikTok. Now, at one point, you might remember, Donald Trump wanted to ban TikTok, but he's changed. And here's one of the big reasons why he's changed is because he has now realized the importance of TikTok to the younger generation.
You said you're going to rescue TikTok when you get into office. Are you going to take steps to protect it?
Yeah, and as you know, I used TikTok very successfully in my campaign. I have a man named TikTok Jack. He was very effective, obviously, because I won youth by 30%. All Republicans lose youth. I don't know why. Maybe it's changing. And last time we were down 30% with youth. This time we're up 35% with youth. And I use TikTok, so I can't really, I can't totally hate it. It was very effective.
Yeah, it was very effective for Donald Trump. Originally, in his first term in office, he wanted to ban TikTok, and now he has fully embraced it. And I do think that TikTok did have a big influence on this election. And Trump content was huge on TikTok. Kamala's was also huge, but actually in a negative way, because you had influencers making fun of Kamala Harris, and her gaffes were legendary on TikTok. And so it was something that really did impact the election. Also remember, by the way, that while other social media at the time were suppressing Donald Trump and Trump supporters and so forth, throttling Trump supporters and throttling Trump as well and so forth, TikTok wasn't. And I'm sure that Barron has been a big influence on Donald Trump as well, telling him that banning TikTok would not be a smart move if he actually wants to keep that youth vote, especially, again, if you want to keep those votes, you got to get J.D. Vance or whoever is going to be running for the presidency after Donald Trump. TikTok is a very important tool.
I will say this. If you do that, something else is going to come along and take its place. And maybe that's not fair. What they're doing, and really what the judge actually said was that you can't have Chinese companies. In other words, they have the right to ban it if you can prove that the Chinese companies own it. That's what the judge actually
said. So are you going to try to protect TikTok just very quick once you're in office?
I'm going to try and make it so that other companies don't become an even bigger monopoly.
Okay.
Because that's what happens.
So what's going to happen to TikTok on the 19th? Just a day before Donald Trump is to be sworn in, TikTok could literally, kind of like Parler did way back when, it could just go dark unless Team Trump can somehow save it. Enter Elon Musk.
Oh, my God.
Superman. Elon to the rescue.
Oh, man. Yeah, I just...
Headlines all over the place this morning that Elon could be in talks to buy TikTok. How epic would that be? Elon Musk buying TikTok.
I'm still in shock you played the Superman theme.
Wait, but people call him Superman. Do they not, Joan? Back me up on this. People call Elon Musk Superman.
They do. Wait, you know what? It's going to be epic. Sorry, it's going to be epic, but not as epic as him buying Twitter and changing the conversation and allowing free speech to flow again.
You're absolutely right, Joan.
He's still playing the theme.
Damn right I am.
Like, Joe's trying to make a point, and this is in the background right now.
Listen, you can never have enough of the Superman theme. Let's be honest.
I love the Superman
This is one of
theme.
John Williams' earliest, by the way.
Yes.
Many Trump...
It's still going.
Can you imagine if you're a Trump hater, by the way? What do? If you're a Trump hater, do you stay on TikTok if Elon Musk buys TikTok?
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Well, a lot of their money comes through TikTok, so they kind of have to.
Oh, absolutely it does. I mean, I think it's fine, Elon buying TikTok. By the way, Chinese officials reportedly considering, this was from Bloomberg, Chinese officials reportedly considering a contingency plan that could involve Elon Musk acquiring TikTok's U.S. operation if the app faces a ban in the United States. According to a report by Bloomberg, discussions are in the early stages. No concrete decisions yet made. The folks at TikTok and Elon Musk, nobody's talking. Do you know how much TikTok is worth? KGB, you have any idea how much TikTok is worth?
It's got to be in the billions now.
$50 billion.
Oof.
So I was close. I was right.
Mm-hmm.
The Wall Street Journal is saying this morning that Chinese officials have internally discussed options, including the possibility of allowing Elon Musk to invest in or take control of TikTok.
Do you know he's lost, though, billions of dollars from buying Twitter?
I don't think he gives a hoot.
See, I don't think he gives a hoot either. Do you know why he doesn't give a hoot?
Because he's got...
Because he's Superman. Because Elon Musk is Superman. You know what we ought to do, KGB? We ought to make... I don't know who's doing traffic this time, but whoever it is, they should have to do it over the Superman theme. No, whatever, fine. Right,
No,
nobody's got a sense of humor, fine.
No, it's fine, but
You
it's
know
like...
what? Do you know what, Joan? I think the KGB would rather have me play like whatever the Russian national anthem is.
Yeah, right?
If I played the Russian national anthem, KGB, would you then be happy?
I don't even know what... I don't remember it. They brainwashed me a lot. They put a lot of American in my head, and I forget a lot about the Russian
I bet
stuff.
you there's a lot of brass in the Russian national.
No, this is Putin's national anthem in his head.
There's a lot of big stepping.
Yeah, yes, there is.
You know they're making a new Superman. They're making a new movie about him.
Are they really?
Yeah, it comes out in July. It actually looks kind of good.
Are they reimagining Superman or?
It's like
I hope not.
It's based on like Superman, like a couple of years into his existence, maybe like halfway, like 10 years into being Superman or something like that. I have to look it up, but it's not like an origin story or anything like that.
Hey, by the way, are we all done with the TikTok segment?
I believe so.
It's your call. It's your show.
No. Yes or no, Jeff? Are we done?
I guess we're done.
I
hate that noise.
7:46. Time to check the roads on WTN. (7:47) Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather today, high of 45 and sunny skies right now, 22 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So there's a lot going on in L.A. They are now looking for what is wrong with people? Joan, they're now looking for yet another arsonist.
Oh, my goodness.
This is stunning. It's on the socials. So now they've arrested an illegal alien for possibly starting one of the fires.
And let him go.
And did they let him go?
Yeah, they let him go.
Ugh.
The guy with the fire, the torch?
With the blowtorch?
Yeah, they let him go.
Why?
Okay, let me look it up.
Justice. No.
I think it's because they couldn't pin an arson on him, even though he was carrying around a blowtorch and for no apparent reason at all, he was carrying around a blowtorch. Unbelievable. Well, anyway, so yeah, now they're looking for another person. They're saying that there's a homeless encampment. Another fire has started near the homeless encampment. There's yet another arsonist that they're apparently looking for as well. So California, and they've got really, really strong winds that are going to return to California tomorrow. And so they're really worried about even more fires breaking out. Meantime, this headline from the New York Post, how California's eco-bureaucrats halted a Pacific Palisades fire safety project to save an endangered shrub.
Unbelievable.
Have you seen that? This came out?
No.
This came out this morning.
First a fish and now a plant?
First a fish. It's not even a plant. It's a shrub. Which is like, I guess a plant, but it's not like a pretty plant. It's a shrub.
This country.
California's, it's not this country. It's that state. They're like
yeah.
a completely different country. California's eco-bureaucrats halted a wildfire prevention project near the Pacific Palisades to protect an endangered shrub. This is the New York Post, folks. So this is not just some, blogger somewhere. They say it's just the latest clash between fire safety and conservation in California that is coming under scrutiny following the devastating outbreak of the Palisades Fire, the most devastating blaze in Los Angeles history, which has consumed the very same area. So apparently this was in 2019. The LA Department of Water and Power began replacing nearly 100-year-old power line poles cutting through Topanga State Park when the project was halted within days by conservationists outraged that federally endangered, I should have read this ahead of time, Bronton's milk vetch plants had been trampled during the process.
Jeez.
Yeah, Bronton's milk vetch. That's the name of the plant.
Say that 3 times fast.
Bronson's milk vetch.
Braunton's milk vetch. MILKVETCH.
That's a new kind of milk they're going to put in Starbucks. Would you like the milk vest in your coffee this morning?
I don't know. But it's a shrub, and they were being trampled. And so now the conservationists, they freaked out and said, oh, no, you can't do that. And so now we have what we have.
You know what my goal is now? Go to California and ever see this bush or shrub, pee on it.
Don't do it near a school.
Oh, no, I'll make sure. But no, they're getting peed on.
You know, I think people are really, really angry about what's going on in California, and it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm telling you, I really did. Kind of like how Joe Biden brought America back to the Republicans by how horribly he ran the country. Well, I think the same thing is going to happen with California, because people have literally lost everything in these fires. And so problem that the California Democrats going to have is all of this can be hung right back on their party. So this is going to be bad. This is going to be very bad for the Democrats. It is 7:52 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 8. Joan, what you got?
First, I have to tell you that I think that guy is still under arrest and he has not been released. So
there you go.
That's good news, yeah. Well, we still have no arrest in the killing of a teenager in one Nashville neighborhood. And we'll tell you about one bill being battled about by the folks in Tennessee this morning, the lawmakers in Tennessee, as they meet for their first time now. And it could save you a few bucks every year. That's good news. We'll have that story and more coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, the Superman of gun stores is the Glock store. They're super duper, actually. And their trainers are like Superman, except Superman didn't actually need a gun. You have that X-ray vision thing going on.
Yeah.
But
do you have to have a shirt with a big G on the front of it when you go into the Glock store?
Yes, absolutely. And you've got to have like the big Superman man pecs, the whole thing.
Right.
Anyway, Dan Mandis here for the Glock store.
What are you going to do?
Wear something loose so that my belly doesn't show. Thank you, Joan.
Okay.
Moving right along. The Glock store, this is my gun store and where I train, and I need to go more often, frankly, and you do too. Now, you know, at the Glock store, they do have private shooting rooms and personal instructors as well, not in multiple lanes and some stranger shooting next to you. No, the Glock store is incredible. And here's an exciting 2025 New Year, new deal just for you, just for listeners to my show. Now, all month long, here in January, you can book a shooting session at shoot270.com. You mention my name, you get to shoot a full auto H&K suppressed MP5. Now, that's amazing. I did that a while ago. It is an experience I'll never forget. You'll never forget it as well. It is a $50 value, absolutely free. When you mention my name, again, you mention my name, you get to shoot a full auto H&K suppressed MP5. Now, I've gone through the incredible personal training at the Glock store. I'll never go back to the single lane ranges again. The incredible, incomparable shoot270.com, only in Nashville and only at my place to train, the Glock store. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere, shoot270.com. Hey everybody, Dan Mandis from Nashville's Morning News. The Wall Street Journal reported a while ago that people are feeling stress, anxiety, and depression because of this election. If that's you, talk to my guy, Dr. Christopher Van Schenk. He is a psychiatrist out in Nolensville. Now, he can help you with not only depression, if you're feeling it because of politics or whatever, but he can also help you with alcoholism, drug abuse as well. Go to his website, nolensvillepsychiatry.com. He's got a long list of conditions that he can help you with, either in person or at telehealth. Bottom line is, he wants to make it as easy as possible for you to get the help that you need. He can help your kids as well. Check him out online. Again, nolensvillepsychiatry.com. The number's below. Thanks for listening, and good luck. 7:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So telling the story of the Bronton's milk vetch, this shrub that caused the stop down of this big fire prevention project in the Palisades there in Los Angeles back in 2019. So apparently what happened is this amateur botanist was hiking through the park and saw the work that they were doing and was actually able to identify the Bronton's milk vetch plant. It's like a shrub.
Yeah, I have the pictures.
A flowering shrub with only a few thousand specimens remaining in the wild, and complained. And the project, one amateur botanist complained, the entire project was stopped. It is incredible. And now you have all of these homes that have been destroyed. So not only was this fire prevention project stopped because of these stupid plants, but the reservoir, if you missed the show yesterday, you had Gavin Newsom say, the reservoirs were full. They actually were not full. He said that. People noted that the Palisades Reservoir was emptied to be repaired just days before the Palisades fire. And don't get me started on the stupid smelt. So, yeah, Gavin's got to go. There's got to be somebody, and Lord help them if they put Kamala Harris in charge. Coming up on 8 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning. It's now 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Just days to go before the inaugural festivities in Washington, D.C. And the FBI is out with a fresh warning about copycat attacks like the one in New Orleans on New Year's Day. It says that there is a persistent appeal of vehicle rammings as a tactic for aspiring violent extremist attackers. Special counsel David Weiss is out with his final report on the prosecution of Hunter Biden. And he's getting the last word after Joe Biden's pardoning of his son now and in the future.
In his final report, Special counsel David Weiss saying, other presidents have pardoned family members, but in doing so, none have taken the occasion as an opportunity to malign the public servants at the Department of Justice based solely on false accusations. And while the president called the prosecutions of his son a miscarriage of justice, the special counsel defending them as the culmination of thorough, impartial investigations, not partisan politics.
ABC's Pierre Thomas there. Weiss also said that President Biden's complaints were baseless and held no merit. Well, closer to home, disaster relief money is headed to Tennessee and North Carolina to make road repairs after Hurricane Helene's devastation. The U.S. Department of Transportation made the $352 million available yesterday. It'll go to help with repairs on I-40, I-26, and to the Blue Ridge Parkway. Damage estimates total about $4 billion in that area. Hey, if you want to use the bathrooms or the Wi-Fi at Starbucks from now on, you'll need to buy something first. The policy reversal comes after complaints from employees and customers that have struggled with unruly and dangerous people who freely hang out at the Starbucks. The company has closed down dozens of stores in recent years because of disruptive people who have threatened the staff. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
It was a mixed Monday in the markets. The S&P bounced off a two-month low to close fractionally higher. The Dow Jones rose 359 points, but the Nasdaq Composite, dragged down by tech shares, gave up 0.4%. How many social media apps can one person own? Bloomberg reports that the Chinese government is considering a plan to sell TikTok to Elon Musk, the owner of X, to avoid having it shut down in the U.S. TikTok calls the story pure fiction. The check is literally in the mail for about 1 million Americans. The IRS is sending out payments to people who didn't take a COVID stimulus payment, but then also failed to claim a credit on their 2021 taxes. The checks are worth up to $1,400. And Walmart says customers should throw out a chicken broth product that was sold mostly in southern states late last year. The retailer has recalled 48-ounce cartons of great family value-sized chicken broth because of what it calls packaging problems. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Could be a nicer start on Wall Street today. We've got Dow futures up 160, NASDAQ futures up 139, and S&P futures gaining 29 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, problems this morning on 24 downtown, the eastbound lanes near the split, so exit 50A and B. There's a crash, and it's blocking off the Gore in that area. Good place to avoid if you can. Bell Road in Nashville, there's an accident right there at Blue Hole Road, and a crash, too, in Bellevue. This is on 40, the westbound lanes past Old Hickory Boulevard West, exit 199. In fact, it's two separate crashes. A big mess there this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.806, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Pete Hegseth is making his way to Capitol Hill. We did find out, apparently, I don't know, Joan, if you've noticed this, but the folks, or UKGB, the folks over there on the YouTube chat, they watch the show on YouTube. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
They've got their own thing going on over there.
Yeah.
Like, it is like a party over there. And you know what's funny about that? I feel like I'm not even invited to the party.
They're talking about you, not to you.
Like I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would pop in and I would say hello. People would say, hey, why don't you check in with the people over there on YouTube? So I'd go into YouTube in the chat and I'd say, hey, everybody, good morning. Completely ignore me. Like not one person would even say good morning to the host that they're watching.
You know what's funny also is like their conversations sometimes have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Nothing.
And was never even a topic we were talking about. It was something completely out of left field.
They've got their own culture, and I love it. I mean, listen, I love it. I appreciate
it's very
it.
entertaining.
But they were actually wanted to know if these Bronton's milk veg plants that we were talking about in the previous hour, did they survive the fire? Here's the amazing thing, is that the plants require wildfire to propagate.
What?
To grow. Yeah, that's what they say.
So wouldn't it be advisable to get rid of?
You would think.
Okay.
You would think.
Yeah.
It's the craziest darn thing.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to know who's calling on the hotline? Their KGB? Because
I believe that was a wrong number.
A wrong number.
Because he went, "Hey, bro," and then like stopped.
Should we answer it?
I answered it. I asked. I was like WTN, and he just like he was like, "Hey," he was gonna say the guy's name, and then realized it wasn't me, and just hung up.
Oh, too bad. I was gonna say we could answer it. That'd be pretty darn funny, actually. Anyway, so instead of these plants getting crushed or whatever, this botanist basically said, "Hey, no, you can't, because these Bronton's milk veg plants are they are endangered, and it turns out they feed on fire." And so they stopped this big, if you're just joining us, they stopped this big project, this project that would, help to alleviate the fire risk there in Pacific Palisades, and they were getting crushed. And so the botanist said, no, you can't continue this work to limit the risk of fires because these stupid plants are getting trampled. And so they stopped the fire mitigation project, and now look what we have. All these homes that are burned, but apparently the Bronton's milk veg plants, they're okay. They more than likely perhaps survived the fire. They can't get in, to all of these different areas because most of them are still on fire. So there you go. Hey, can we talk about your Starbucks story, Joan?
Oh, yeah,
Just
absolutely.
very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk about this all the time. Every day after my show, I go to Starbucks. It is like clockwork.
Yeah.
And because, Joan, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And at this Starbucks, everybody actually knows my name.
So it's not Cheers or anything. It's just Starbucks.
It's just Starbucks.
Got it.
But your story is one that has been a long time coming.
Oh, yes.
So talk about your story where you've got all of these people that have been hanging out inside Starbucks and they don't buy anything.
Well, what prompted this? Back in 2018,
Yep.
there were two black men who said that they were in the Starbucks for a business meeting, and I use air quotes when I say that. And that somebody there who worked there tried to kick them out. This happened in Philadelphia, and they wouldn't leave, and it got into a big dust up, and they ended up being arrested. And so the whole, and it became a black eye for the company, and the company changed all their policies so that anybody who wants to come into Starbucks can come in and hang out all they want, and they don't have to buy a thing.
Which was so stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, you got all these people that are hanging out inside of a Starbucks and not ordering anything. And at my particular Starbucks, every day there's a dude with a shopping cart, and he just sits there. And I'll come in at like 9:45 or 11:30. Dude is sitting there in his corner at this particular Starbucks. And I'm like, how long does he sit there? And I don't ask the people at Starbucks because they don't want to hear my conservative rant about the homeless people.
Yeah.
So, nobody wants to hear that. But it's just like these kinds of things actually ruin the experience for paying customers. And then the other question was, okay, so if he's actually buying something, he's sitting there for like hours.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so you can buy a $5 cup of coffee and just sit there and pretend to drink it for like 5 hours to stay out of the cold. And I get it. It's cold outside. I totally understand. But if you're Starbucks, you really are put in a really difficult position because somebody like me, I'm sorry, but I'm a paying customer. And so if I'm looking for a seat and I can't find a seat and this dude over here has been nursing the same cup of coffee for like 4 hours. And, I don't think that's fair. And Starbucks clearly understands that because now it would appear that they are changing their rules, their laws, not laws, whatever.
You know what?
Changing their policy.
They have to go one step further. There's just one thing that Starbucks needs to do to come back to its former glory.
What's that?
They need to let people put their own sugar and cream in, darn it. I can't stand that they don't let you do your own coffee fixins.
They do you. They do you.
They don't.
They do.
When? They don't do it anymore.
Yeah, they do. They just changed their policy back.
They did?
Yes.
See?
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
I would go in. This is. I know. Commie coffee. Leave me alone. So, I would go in and I would say, I want cream on the side. And I want, my thing is I want cream and I want stevia. I want all that stuff on the side so that I can do it myself because literally my coffee is a science project.
Yes,
it is.
I agree. Mine too.
Exactly. See, real coffee drinkers understand.
But you have to ask for it to be put on the side. Like they don't have the little coffee, the condiment station open.
They don't have the little half and half carafe.
Right.
They don't do that. But if you ask for it on the side, they'll gladly give it to you on the side.
If you walked into a coffee shop and I was running, I'm like, oh, he's going to ask for like this most complex order. I'm just like mentally prepared for it.
No, they already know.
I know.
Yeah,
but if I saw you for the first time, that's my initial thought.
You folks at Starbucks, I'm the guy. I walk in and I say, I want a grande pike. I want half and half on the side. And then I go off to the place and I put a couple of stevia in there. And then I get the bacon and cheese egg bites. And I sit in my corner, and that's what I do. And I'm there for like 20 minutes. I do my thing. I chill. I relax. I have a good time. And then, by the way, there's a lot of I'm not going to say their location, obviously. There's a lot of WTN listeners in there, though.
How do you know?
Because they come up to me and they say hello.
Oh, my God. I was going to make a joke saying, and I bet you get, are you Dan Mandis from WTN? I swear to God I was going to say that, and then apparently it's true.
It happens often when I'm in there. Whatever.
So then they have to be people that are watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook or watching, because nobody would know you by your voice, right?
That happens sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of people actually recognize me these days. Whatever. But I mean, all I'm saying is, yes, people have heard my voice and said, "Oh, you're." Yeah, that also happens because I've got a very unique, high and whiny kind of voice.
Yeah.
That is Thank you for the agreement there, Joan.
We all know affirmation.
It's true.
Everybody needs affirmation.
The great thing about my friends at Starbucks.
Yeah.
I'm probably being obliterated on the super text line. The great thing though about Starbucks.
Yeah.
Every day, I've been going. I kid you not, friends. I've been going to the same Starbucks every day for probably since I started the morning show. So that was over 3 years ago now. And so I go in every day. I've got to ask what the damn bathroom code is. And they look at me and like, how do you not remember this? Every day you ask for the bathroom code and you don't remember it. One of them said, can you just put it like in your phone? And I said, by the time I put it in my phone, you guys are going to change it.
They'll change it.
Yeah.
You don't even remember conversations from yesterday. To give you credit, you have a terrible memory, short-term memory.
That's very true.
It's just that he has so much going on up there.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. There's a lot going on up here, KGB.
His brain resets every morning.
When you see that steam coming out and you start smelling that burning smell, that is Dan. He's at it.
Sure.
That's when he's trying to plug in something when he's wet.
83.
Somebody said
you're on my last good nerve today, KGB, and we'll talk about that at 8:35. Starbucks is like drinking Bud Light. No, It's not like drinking Bud Light. What is wrong with you? Real coffee drinkers, this is 8338. Real coffee drinkers order black coffee from Waffle House.
From Waffle House. There you go.
Nope. Waffle House is disgusting. I'm just going to tell. Wait, are they advertising? Well, I'm not myself personally. I'm not a big fan of Waffle House, but some people may be.
Do you not like Waffle House waffles either?
Okay, so here's the deal. When I first started dating Amy, Waffle House was like our place to go, and I got tired of it.
Yeah.
And so now it's like for me to go to Waffle House, please no, for the love of all that is holy, not Waffle House again. And the reality is I haven't been to Waffle House like 5 years.
Okay.
Why are so many listeners doing commie coffee? Real Mr. Cellophane asking the question.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in Starbucks and there's listeners in there, why are they all doing commie coffee? You know why? Because it's good. And by the way, can I just say that they're not nearly as commie as some of you people think. They're just not. They pay their people well. They send them to college. They have scholarships and that kind of thing.
What I don't like is that there's this expectation that you're going to tip them. Now you go to the counter. They're not serving you at your table.
Okay, you know what? We'll talk about that as well. It is 8 to 18. Man, we are so late for traffic. I apologize. Time to check the roads on WTN. $8:19, Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather today, a high of 45 and right now 24 at Super Talk 99.7. 1096. If you cannot drink your coffee black, you're not a coffee connoisseur. See, I've had that argument with people.
Yeah.
Where you can't call yourself a coffee connoisseur if you have cream and sugar. I disagree, but it's not going to be the first fight that I've had with many listeners. Truck stop.
You're picky. That's all.
I am
You're just picky, and I get that. I'm picky about coffee too.
Keith says Starbucks is like Grey Poupon. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
They are turning on you, though. The last straw was not liking Waffle House. People are like,
yeah, that's it.
There's their turn to turn on you, Dan.
You know what? I like Shoney's and I love Cracker Barrel. All right.
I love Cracker Barrel.
But Cracker Barrel's coffee is too weak.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say that. Like Cracker Barrel's coffee is too weak. By the way, the whole tipping.
Yes.
You're right, Joan. Like I go in and I go there every day, so I do tip. I tip $1. And there's one particular person that I will give her $2. And it's nothing creepy. I know her personally. She and I have talked about the greatness of DJT. And so I give her $2.
Okay.
But yeah, you go up and you order, and then they turn the thing around. Now they turn the thing around. It's there. And you want to give $1, $2, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I do good. Do you tip?
I do not.
You don't?
I don't.
I'm worried they're going to spit in my coffee.
If I'm watching them, they're not going to spit in my coffee while I'm watching them. First of all, I don't order the frou-frou drinks. I just like coffee. So they're not going to be spitting in my coffee for that.
But see, my thing is I've got to go to the bathroom. Like, it's very specific. Yeah. I order, and then I go to the bathroom. That's when they could spit in my coffee if I don't give a tip regularly.
Yeah.
Can't you just hold it until you get your coffee?
Listen, I love baristas, as they like to call
I'm old,
themselves.
KGB. And when you're old, when you're 57, when you got to go, buddy, you got to go. You'll learn. That's okay. You'll learn. What were you saying, Joan? That
they call themselves the baristas, but
yes.
they're paid very well.
Mm-hmm.
They have excellent benefits, better than any waiter or waitress I've ever met in my life. They are paid better, and they have excellent benefits. They go to college. They have health care. They get all kinds of cool things.
Joan,
yeah.
Shh. We want KGB to stay.
Oh,
we don't want him to be like a barista, go off and because trust me, KGB's like, how much do they pay?
Yeah.
And they give benefits? Will you please at least stay to the end of the show, KGB, before you go and you apply at Starbucks?
I don't think I have the patience to work at Starbucks.
Why? I totally work at Starbucks.
Because I like my coworkers here. I don't think I like my coworkers at Starbucks.
Oh, isn't he sweet?
Love him. He tolerates us.
He does, and he's one of the few. 822. Where am I at? 822 on Nashville's Morning News.
Headline action here?
Nope. I'm going to do Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling first. They are your Rude Pro partners, and they are my partner as well. I love these folks, and I've been working with them for years. Now, Busy Bee is always looking for ways to save you money. And here, in a very cold January, some red hot deals. Get a free air duct cleaning with the purchase of a new complete whole home AC, or get a free air duct cleaning package upgrade. So you buy the middle package, you're automatically upgraded to the deluxe. And they're also offering you 15% off indoor air quality products. So save money and stay warm this January with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. Online, busybehvac.com. Joan, what is coming up in the news at 8:30?
Well, still no arrest in the killing of a teenager in one Hendersonville neighborhood. Also, what does Melania Trump plan to do when her husband goes back to work at the White House? We'll take a look. That's coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
828, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Apparently, Joan, Chris Hand is going to defend the honor of Waffle House.
Oh, is he? Okay.
At 8:30. Look, I'm not. Now people are like, I'm going to air quote this. People are like rich shaming me because I go to Starbucks. This is why I can't. People would rather hear me talk about how I almost died last week than hear about
now you have to talk about it again because you introduced it when nobody has a context of that anymore.
We'll talk about it with Chris Hand.
Okay,
I'm going to ask Chris Hand. Have you ever? I'm going to ask Chris, if you're listening in the dust-encrusted news hallway, have you ever had a near-death experience like I did here in the last couple of days?
And also a funny one. It was funny.
Yeah, perhaps. It would have been real funny if, it happened to you.
I'm pretty sure I've seen Bugs Bunny do the same thing, and his body just goes in different formations. And his
7464 says, I'm such a diva. Why are people picking on me? I don't even understand. I didn't do anything wrong.
It's like Joe Biden. Why is everyone saying F Joe Biden? I'm not doing anything wrong.
People are saying FDM.
Oh.
F Dan Mandis.
We're gonna have a chance at football games now for you.
Whatever. Why wouldn't Dan go to the bathroom before he places his order?
Because it makes sense, people.
Order, bathroom, the order is done by the time I get back. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, Chris Hand and The Cross is coming up next. All kinds of fun stuff straight ahead. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Still no arrest after the killing of a Hendersonville, make that 16-year-old early on Sunday morning. Residents living near Vulco Drive, where that shooting occurred, tell Channel 4 they're shocked.
This is not typical of our neighborhood, and it's a good family that this tragedy came upon. And it's a sad thing that young people maybe sometimes don't understand the implications of weapons.
Police have identified 18-year-old Amani Jordan as the prime suspect in this deadly shooting. And an active search, it's still underway. Tennessee lawmakers return to the state capitol today. They're considering a host of bills, and one of them is the elimination of the grocery sales tax statewide. It's now 4%. The Census Bureau estimates that's about $600 a year for the average Tennessean. And that's a lot for young adults just starting out.
Being a young guy kind of fresh out of college and getting used to paying for more and more groceries on a daily basis, it would definitely be a nice relief to have. I'd say anytime we can save the overall public a little bit of money, I'm all for it.
Yeah, there are, in fact, competing bills from both Republican and Democrat lawmakers. The big difference is how to make up for the lost revenue if that sales tax is eliminated. Well, First Lady-elect Melania Trump says she'll split her time between 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Palm Beach, and New York when Donald Trump returns to the presidency. But mostly, she'll be in Washington doing what she has always done.
I will be in the White House, and, when I need to be in New York, I will be in New York. When I need to be in Palm Beach, I will be in Palm Beach. But my first priority is, to be a mom, to be a first lady, to be a wife. And once we are in on January 20, it's you serve the country.
Speaking to Fox News, Melania Trump said in New York she can be closer to Barron, who is attending NYU Stern College of Business. And his spring semester starts the day after inauguration, so we may not see him this time around. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:32, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, if you have a piece of property, maybe some land that you don't know what to do with, think about a pole barn from my friends at Stoltz Co. They are the premier pole barn builders here in the state of Tennessee. You know that putting up a pole barn from Stoltz Co. could increase the value of your land big time, and you can use it as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building. You can just live in it. The thing is, pole barns from Stoltz Co., they're flexible and they're built really well. You can also plan ahead and build a retirement home. Now, this is a great company, a great Tennessee company. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-622-5992, 615-622-5992 for Stoltz Co. Again, they are the premier pole barn builders in the state of Tennessee. What can they do for you? You can find them online. It is stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com, 615-622-5992. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook as well, stoltzco.com.
In the south side, it's a crash on 40. The westbound lanes at Elm Hill Pike overpass. The right shoulder there is blocked off. Briley Parkway at I-40, that's a crash site. James Robertson Parkway, right at I-24 in the East Bank area, that's a crash as well. And one more in Joelton on Old Clarksville Pike at Eaton's Creek Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.836, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into the Cross with Chris Hand. Hello, Chris.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
We're doing, well, I'm a little bruised and battered because of the whole Starbucks thing.
Yeah, I mean, you went full elitist when you dissed Waffle House on the air.
Joan Jones is here, and
You're just glazing by that.
And Jeff Melanoff, KGB, is here as well. So
Sounds Russian, doesn't it?
I may be an elitist, but KGB is doing the whole high-stepping fur hat thing.
Have you ever seen the Superman, the storyline from the alternate universe where he lands in Russia and not Kansas?
Yes.
No.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So instead of the S on his chest, it's a hammer and sickle.
Is it really?
Yeah, and he works for the Russians.
Wow.
Duh.
There's another one where he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Really?
But he kills Hitler at the end.
If only. That's enough.
Yeah, they go crazy in the Superman
I
world.
thought that was funny.
I liked it.
Apparently not.
I liked it.
No, it's a banger.
It's a banger.
If Elon is Superman, Trump is Batman, and we all know Batman's better.
But Elon should
Are
be
we really
Batman.
going to do this again?
wait a minute. Shouldn't Elon should be Batman. He
No.
has the money to build all that.
No.
No?
Nope.
So you said that you are going, moving right along, you said you were going to, Just so we're clear, I said that I didn't like Waffle House. Just the food's a little greasy. That's all. Now, I do
You got to get your little egg bites in the corner.
The little egg bites made only with the whites of the egg.
Oh, you get the egg white?
Yeah.
Egg bites?
No, I don't get the egg white.
You get the elite of the elite. Next tier up?
No.
You go next tier up?
Okay. I
need
don't
my
get
bathroom code, please. And my egg whites.
I don't get the egg whites. I get the egg bites. One time I actually did accidentally order the egg whites, and I couldn't eat. I think, what the hell is this? And they said, well, you order the egg whites. And I said, no, I ordered every day for years. I come in here. I want the egg bites, not the whites. But you know what happens? And this is actually honest to goodness truth. Does this happen to you guys? I get nervous when I order. I do. I get nervous when I order. No, it's true. I don't know why I get nervous when I order, but I do. There are times when Amy will have to say, no, what he wants is because
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I do. I get nervous when I order. I don't know why.
Talking in front of hundreds of thousands of people. A-okay. Ordering something. Honey, can you do this for me?
Honey, what is it I usually get? I can't tell you how many. It's like there are times when I have to actually ask my wife, what is it I like here?
Oh my God.
It's emasculation central.
I love it.
Oh my goodness.
Whatever. You know what?
It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for Dan. Anytime he's ordering. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
All I'm saying is that Starbucks is good. I've eaten at Waffle House many times. It's just a little greasy, and I find their bacon a little thin. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Dan likes it thick.
Oh my God. Oh my good Lord.
And listen, I like Starbucks too. I'm just razzing you.
Are you just razzing
I'm
me?
just razzing
Okay.
you. It's low hanging fruit. Starbucks is good.
By the way, somebody said, how could you, and it's all fine. Somebody said, how could you go to Starbucks when they have literally said that they don't want conservatives' money?
Yeah.
That's not what they said. That's not what was said.
It's not what was said. However,
Dan, you're not doing yourself any favors right now.
No, that's not what they said. That's not what Howard Schultz said. It's not.
What's it going to say?
We'll just stand here in silence if you want.
We're waiting. Go on.
We're waiting for the actual evidence, sir.
Oh,
Don't be a liberal and not give the evidence. You're not a liberal, right? You have to give evidence.
No, I've got so many other things open. He said in response, he says, if you feel respectfully that you can get a higher return than the 38% you got last year to investors, it's a free country. You can sell your shares in Starbucks and buy shares in another company. Thank you very much. That's what he said. He didn't say that, if you're conservative, your money's not welcome. Any CEO that would say that is a dummy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's not what he said.
Dan, do you eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream as well?
I refuse.
You know what's funny? I actually don't. That is oddly enough where I draw the line. I will not eat Ben & Jerry's.
No.
If you eat Ben & Jerry's, then I'm like, okay, maybe you're not as conservative as we all thought, because that place is talk about cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. My goodness.
I don't eat Cocoa Puffs either.
No.
I mean, that's a kid cereal.
So anyway, Waffle House. Yeah, it's not that I hate Waffle House. I find their bacon thin and it's greasy. And you know what I do like for breakfast? First Watch.
First Watch.
Yes. First Watch is amazing.
That chorizo omelet all day.
Yeah.
What is First Watch?
Oh, it's a breakfast place. It's only open till like 11 a.m.
I didn't know what it was when I moved down south either, and I was like, "Wow, I found this local spot." I was like, "You got to check it out." And then somebody told me it's a chain, but it's really really good.
It's specific for the South, though. I don't think it's anywhere else. It's kind of like In-N-Out, like California.
So there's grits involved.
There's grits.
May be.
Yeah.
Jeff says that Dan is a conservative in name only, actually a secret agent for the Liberal Party.
Oh,
jeez.
I didn't say that.
That goes a little
Another
far.
Jeff did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? Hey, Chris, you ever had any near-death experiences? I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do from now on? No more stories of what I do in real life. Because every time I go down this road, like people start yammering at me and how I'm like a conservative in name only. And
it's been an hour of them bashing you.
I think it's done in love.
Yeah.
It's done in love.
You know, sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder, actually.
See, like in Massachusetts, you only give people a hard time if you really like them.
Okay.
I do think you crossed the line about Waffle House, though. That's when they went up in arms about it.
All I said was that I don't like Waffle House. But then I realized, okay, but I've eaten at Waffle House many, many, many times. That's why I don't like Waffle House, because I ate there too much.
You overextended.
Yeah.
Was that before the diet, the big diet?
No, bacon and eggs, man. That's fine.
I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised Murphy hasn't called in yet. We've said Waffle House so many times. You know that if you say Waffle House in the mirror 3 times with the lights off, you flip them on real quick, and Murphy's behind you with his paper hat on.
I thought it was Go. I thought Go Dogs would unleash him. This is how it's going to happen. The WTN Civil War is going to start over Waffle House.
Yep.
Listen, if Waffle House will thicken up their bacon, I'll gladly go back.
The shot heard around the world.
That's exactly right. I'm sure they're going to get right on it. So, near-death experiences. I had one.
Okay.
Now this is serious.
But is it see the light?
No, it was no seeing the light.
Okay.
No,
I haven't had a near-death experience like that.
I was probably about 2 seconds away from seeing that light. But it was definitely an oh crap moment. So, I had just gotten out of the shower, bathrobe on, and I, for whatever reason, I decided that it would be a good idea to plug in Alexa.
What?
Right? I know, right?
I mean, how did I forget that you're not supposed to plug stuff in when you're wet? But I did. Amy doesn't even know this. She's finding out for the first time right now. I didn't tell Amy because I was embarrassed. So, of course, tell it on the radio.
Makes sense.
Makes sense if you know me. So I plugged that thing in. It was like boom.
Really?
I have never in my life felt the shock like that. Now, luckily, I was able to pull my arm away, but it was hard. I was probably a few seconds away from, that shock. I don't know how exactly it works, but people, have had heart attacks with the shocks. So, that was my near-death experience. And I started thinking, we had fun about this in the 5 o'clock hour. So I started thinking, because when that happens, you start thinking what your last would have been.
Yeah.
First of all, the horrifying nature of being found in the bathroom in nothing but a bathrobe. That was number one. Number two.
Is this why you shower in a wetsuit now?
Exactly right. Number two, I thought, what would all the last conversations that I would have had? And of course, I go down the road of, my last show would have sucked. So there was that.
So you start doom spiraling as you're laying on the bathroom floor?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Tell them erase that YouTube show. Leave up only Fridays.
Find a good show, and that'll be the last show that we ever did. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it was crazy, though. So I do believe that very easily could have been. And how stupid,
Yeah.
Just folks, in all seriousness, don't plug stuff in when you're wet.
No, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
The joke I made in the 5 o'clock hour was, I was plugging in Alexa. It's not the first time a woman has tried to kill me. You know what?
I thought it was so good he had to do it again.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm telling the jokes for Chris because I want to impress Chris.
Got it. Okay,
I'm impressed.
Wanting to impress Chris. He's like that cool older brother.
That's exactly right.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Oh. Whatever.
I got electrocuted. High five.
So
Dan
wait a minute,
is
Chris,
lying. He was plugging in his hairdryer.
Chris, you said you've had near-death experiences, right? So lay it out. Come on.
I got stabbed twice.
What?
Oh my! I think Chris wins. It's over.
You always got to top me, don't you, Han?
I did. I was 18 and I was at a house party, and I don't know. I don't drink anymore, but at the time I did, and I used to get a little rambunctious. So I thought it would be fun to have a fist fight, and
you decided to pick a fist fight with a guy with a knife.
I didn't know. I thought he wanted to just fist fight too, which is fine. We can fist fight like gentlemen.
You bring fist to a knife fight.
Yeah, I brought fist to a knife fight. I got stabbed twice in my head.
What? What?
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't like a downward motion. It was more of a slashing motion. So it was like the side of the blade.
Do you have scars?
Yeah, I have 2 scars.
Where?
I have them. Hold on. The big one's back here.
Yeah. Oh my God, he went to the top of your head.
And I got this one right here.
I am so coming over there to look at your stab wounds.
So then I got, so this is the crazy part. So I was working at the radio station. I was working at the hip hop station, so I had street cred now. But so I'm at the hospital, and so it wasn't just me fist fighting. It was more of, there was a group of us. So I get stabbed twice, and then I go to the hospital, and I'm there for 12 hours, and they're like, "What happened to you?" I said, "I fell down some steps." And this is what I said.
Some very sharp steps.
I fell down some steps.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about. So I get 15 staples in my head. And then I 0 hours of sleep. I left, and I had to go work a hip hop concert. I produced a live broadcast as I'm bleeding through my hat. And you know, and have you ever been to a hip hop concert, Dan?
Sure, many.
Very thumpy bass backstage.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to deal with that and it was a big concert. It was like one of the radio station concerts. So it's like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I dealt with that with 15 staples and fresh head
15
wound.
staples and blood.
Yep.
Did you know Virginia at that time?
No. So this is in Massachusetts. So then one of my buddies who was also in the fist fight, he only got a black eye, lucky dog.
Yeah.
And so we're driving home from the concert because I'd got him free tickets. So we're driving home, and I'm in an 87 Lincoln Continental. That's what I was driving at the time. And the alternator went. So the car's dead. So we're over on the side of the highway. Massachusetts State Trooper pulls up, and he sees my buddy with a black eye, and he goes, "What happened to you?" And my buddy goes, "Well, I got elbowed playing basketball." And then he looks at me and he goes, "What the hell happened to you?" And I said, "I fell down some steps."
Oh my Lord.
And he said,
There just happened to be a knife on the bottom of the stairs.
He said, "We need to get you kids home. We need to get you guys home."
Smart man.
You know what, though?
God.
The fact that you didn't, call in sick or whatever after falling down the steps and you went to do the concert, that's... KGB, you need to listen to these old radio war stories because, listen, if you ever get knifed, you need to show up, young man.
Yeah.
You still need to come in here and do the whatever it is that you do.
And if you get elbowed in the eye, you need to come in.
There's no bass in Dan's show.
Certainly not in my voice.
I don't care if I'm electrocuted. I don't care if I'm stabbed. I don't care if I have to listen to Murphy for 4 hours. I'm coming to the show.
Listen.
But no, I didn't see the light.
I came to work after I almost got electrocuted.
Oh, my God.
Beast mode.
It was like, that's right.
Guess what? We're going to hear this on forever.
There was 20 hours between the shocking and me opening the mic again, but still.
Yeah, we're never going to hear the end of this. Hey, I came through an electrocution.
That's exactly right.
And then I'm going to have
I don't see burn marks on you, though, so it couldn't have really been all that serious.
Listen, the next show was an electrifying show.
I'm going to put a disclaimer. Anytime you bring that up, I'm going to have a disclaimer like, he did it to himself. It was a quick little jolt. He's fine.
Listen, if I happen to pass away unexpectedly, Chris, this is for you.
Okay.
And Malinoff. If I die, you guys need to make sure that my last show doesn't suck.
Absolutely.
So if that means that you've got to take down the sucky show and change dates and stuff, that's what we need to do. Sure, all the content would be dated, but that's okay.
We got you. No worries.
That's when you actually begin the spoof reel, right?
It's so weird. Dan just passed away, but his last show was a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
I don't know how that worked out.
And all of a sudden, a compilation of all his mess ups are now right on the front of the page.
It's weird. Last thing he said was, hey, 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 hey. All right. What's coming up?
Well, I got 7 good minutes with Marsha Blackburn today, boys.
All of 7 minutes.
They called me and they said that she wanted to come on the show, and then I got a message and they're like, she's hanging out with Hegseth. She's got 7 minutes, so she'll be calling in around 10:35 till about 10:42.
Here's what you're going to hear. You ready? Well, Chris.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
You know what? That moment is going to forever live in infamy.
Oh, yes.
I think, you know what you need to ask her is Mandis no longer on the call list?
Or are you not getting called?
No, but that's okay. So, well, yeah, think about it. Well, now I don't want to do this on the air, but think about it.
Yeah.
Like they completely bypassed me and they called Chris.
Yep.
Even though they could only give Chris 7 minutes, you could have talked to me before the thing.
7 minutes in heaven.
So when is she coming on?
10:35.
10:35. Okay.
8:50.
What? You didn't?
that was
just
good.
You know what?
That was good.
My memories of my childhood have suddenly electrifying thoughts of my childhood have actually come back to me. Moving right along. Dan Mandis here, and here we are in 2025. What big events do you have planned? Whether it's a big corporate event, maybe a family reunion, maybe a wedding, maybe a birthday party at your home, Nashville Tent and Awning can help you with an incredible enclosure that can be installed anywhere. Now, they've been around since 1884. These folks are a Nashville institution, and they've worked with the likes of the Tennessee Titans, Vanderbilt, and the Grand Ole Opry. Now, they are one of the top companies in Nashville, and I want you to think about your backyard and how can they help you. You can actually extend your living space with a backyard enclosure so that you can enjoy it even here in the wintertime when it's really cold. If you've got an event for work coming up, they can help you there as well with a tent or enclosure, and they've got awnings for any style of building that'll improve the look and feel of your home or office. So you can get some visuals. Check out their website. NTACO is like N, then the word taco. NTACO.com. Nashville Tent and Awning. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-329-3701. 615-329-3701. Solid craftsmanship built to last since 1884. Nashville Tent and Awning.